I got a lot to get into here tonight, including a Raw that was just wretched till about the last 40 minutes.
You thought so? I thought the beginning was really good, and then
the Brock Lesnar segment with Drew McIntyre was very good.
And then I thought that the Randy Orton thing at the end was really... I thought Randy Orton was fantastic in the last segment.
40 minutes were good because he had that Rey Mysterio match, which was really good.
That was a good match, yeah.
And then the Randy Orton is unbelievable. But, I mean, aside from the open and the close of this show, there was 2 hours of this show that, oh, my Lord, that was bad. Killed Aleister Black, killed Ricochet.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything here?
Yeah, they definitely killed Ricochet. Aleister Black got beat. I mean, it was... I don't know. It was...
He wasn't killed like Ricochet, but, I mean...
He got beat.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did get to. It was hard for me to understand. I mean, but I didn't like when it was over. Go like, well, he's dead. You know. I mean, Ricochet was just a burial, like unbelievable, and the Eric Rowan thing with the tarantula was just I don't know.
Okay, like, I have to ask, and I presume
I don't know. I don't know any answers on this one, but go ahead.
I mean, was that supposed to be a joke, or was that actually supposed to be what's in the cage?
I think it's supposed to be what's in the cage. I don't know where they go.
He pulls out what was so clearly like a toy mechanical spider.
Yeah.
I mean, how anybody in the world could look at that thing and think that it was anything resembling a real spider is beyond me. It was so phony looking. We're supposed to believe that there's an actual giant spider in the cage?
I was just when I saw it was just kind of like, after all these months, this is what this is.
And what's the point? Like he has a spider now?
I don't know. And look, and how it was done. It's like it shouldn't have been built up or something. You know, all of a sudden, just one time, like Jose shows up, and that's it. It's like, I don't know.
I mean, that can't be what's in the cage. I mean, it's got to just be some stupid thing that they did for comedy or something.
I guess. I don't know. I was dumbfounded.
Well, let's talk about this show.
Okay.
So it opens up with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and they, in fact, had a very good segment. Basically, Heyman comes out, and he cuts his promo, and he basically says, yes, Drew McIntyre eliminated Lesnar from the Rumble, but it was because Ricochet hit him with a low blow from behind. Drew merely kicked him over the top rope. There is zero evidence that Drew McIntyre can pin Brock Lesnar. There is zero evidence that he could submit Brock Lesnar. The entire WrestleMania main event is a sham. So Drew McIntyre comes out. He goes face-to-face with Brock. Brock smiles and backs off. And as he's about to leave, Brock decides, I'm going to get him. And he goes running, and Drew lays him out with the Claymore kick. The fans go crazy. They chant, you deserve it. They chant, this is awesome. Brock is furious. He starts to leave. He gets all the way up to the top of the ramp. Drew lays him out with another Claymore kick. Now the fans are going nuts. They're chanting one more time. So, in fact, Drew does one more, lays him out for the third time. Fans chant, holy shit. Drew leaves tall. Brock Lesnar selling on the ramp. It was very well done. I mean, they're strapping the rocket to this guy. There was no sign pointing. There was also no countdown.
I think he actually may have pointed the sign when it was over.
It's possible he did, but he didn't make it a joke. He just would have done
No, it wasn't. It was. I think he actually did, but I don't. It wasn't like that was the focus of the thing. But it was. I thought Brock Lesnar's selling of it was great because he sold it like it wasn't cartoon selling or anything like that. It was real.
He got laid out.
He sold it big, but he didn't like make fun of his own selling. You know what I mean? Like wink, wink. I'm selling for this guy. I mean, it was just like, he knew his role. His role is I got to get this guy over so people believe that there's a real match here, and so that's what he did.
Well, he certainly needed to do that after Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what Saudi Arabia had to do with it. I mean, they had to get. I mean, they had to do something to get Drew over because I think that they had built Brock up in a way where maybe nobody thought that Drew had a chance to win, and so they made sure that you think that Drew's got a good chance to win.
So this was the opening segment. It was a last good thing for about 2 hours. Actually, Street Profits and Seth and Murphy was
the
not
tag
bad.
team title match. The tag team title match was fine. It was fine. I wouldn't. It wasn't like a great match, but there was certainly nothing. It was weird because it was like they kept pushing like this is the Street Profits' last chance. And it's like they've had one title match. They've been on TV for a couple of weeks, and now you're trying to. It's like the last chance thing is something that you do like after, you know what I mean? Like a team's failed over and over and over again, and they've been together for years and years and years. It was kind of weird, and you build it up over a week or two or longer. That they don't. This is it. This is the last chance, and probably on a pay-per-view. Instead, they just kind of threw it in with like no build. All of a sudden, it's like the match is on, and oh, by the way, it's the last chance, which kind of tells you, okay.
They literally opened up the show saying that it was a now or never match. The Street Profits win this match, or they will never get another shot at the tag team titles. Didn't even mention against this team. It was like, they'll never get a shot again if they don't win tonight.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Where did that come from? And they announced that Asuka was going to be facing Shayna Baszler later. And then at some point, they just said, well, she's got a wrist injury. It will now be Kairi Sane.
Yeah. Well, they actually announced that before the show. Because I knew that in the late afternoon. Because she hurt her wrist. I think it was at the house show. Where were they? Was it? It wasn't Syracuse.
So she did actually hurt her wrist.
Oh, no, that's legit. Yeah,
Okay.
she hurt her left wrist. Salisbury, Maryland, in a tag match. It was Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair against Asuka and Kairi. And then, so they're hopeful that she'll be okay. I think it was a sprained wrist, and they're hopeful that it'll be okay for the pay-per-view on Sunday. But
I do love that she's got a sprained wrist and she can't get clear, but Adam Cole worked with a fucking broken wrist with a cast for like 2 months.
Yeah, I don't have any explanation on that, but she showed up at TV and then she wasn't cleared and then they had to switch the match. So that's why, so probably what was, like everything that happened was probably scheduled to be, it was scheduled. So I'm guessing that the length of that match had to do with the belief that it was going to be Asuka and Shayna Baszler as opposed to Kairi. Although Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler have had long matches in the past because they've wrestled plenty of times in NXT and good matches. So it's.
I was just baffled that out of the blue, it was like on Monday they just announced Asuka's facing Kairi Sane or Shayna Baszler.
Shayna, yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, that's the second biggest match you can do with Shayna. There's Becky, and then there's Asuka. What in God's name is this being...
Charlotte Flair, too.
Well, yeah, but to me, the Asuka versus Shayna is a way bigger match, and I have no idea why.
Not in their minds, though.
Well, regardless, they didn't build it up for a week. It's just like they announced it Monday for Monday?
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So it's Seth and Murphy against the Street Profits. And they had this big brawl. Montez tries to dive. He gets caught, thrown in the barricade, and they go to commercial. They come back, and they're killing Dawkins because Montez can't get back in the ring. AOP comes out. They're standing on the apron to watch. Finally, Ford jumps back up on the apron, and he, in fact, gets the hot tag. He immediately does the same dive that got killed on earlier. This time he hits it. Runs wild, breaks down into a four-way. AOP starts heading down to the ring. The ref ejects them. They get on the apron and yell at him for being ejected. And as they're doing so, Kevin Owens hits the ring, gives Seth a stunner. Montez hits a giant frog splash, pins Seth Rollins. They win the tag team titles. Fans go crazy. Awesome celebration. We have new tag team champions.
Yeah, so it's set up a rematch on the pay-per-view. And I could see... I don't think the Street Profits should lose anytime soon, but I could see the Street Profits, because I could see those belts on Garza and Andrade. I think that's
where they should be.
Yeah, I think that's where it should end up at, which would also mean that Andrade has to lose the U.S. title. It doesn't have to, but the way they think he would have to. And I suppose there's different people he could lose that to, although I don't know. I guess it looked like Andrade and Carrillo are going to do a match for the title, which makes no sense because they just had Garza beat Carrillo twice. So, who knows?
So Seth and Buddy are upset backstage, and Charlie shows up, and Seth basically says, and there's no explanation for this, I am demanding a rematch against the Street Profits at the pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So I guess he can just do that. And
you can do that. You can come out. You can challenge for any match that you want. And yeah, I know that they said that.
Think that more guys should do that then.
Yeah, no more automatic rematches anymore unless you ask. And if you ask, you can still get it.
And he says Kevin can name the time, the place, the stip. When he gets his hands on him, he will be crucified.
So I guess that leads to WrestleMania. Kevin and Seth.
Yep. We have Riddick Moss versus Ricochet. The announcers spend the whole match talking about how Riddick Moss is a great athlete. He's the longest reigning 24/7 champion. Like, that means anything.
Well, I thought that was almost like as a comedy reference more than like something serious.
They announce it like it was serious.
Yeah.
So the fans chant, "Who are you?" And they have a commercial break, and they come back, and Ricochet fires up and goes for a lift or something, and Riddick escapes, catches him with his finish, and yes, Riddick Moss does have a finish. It's a neck breaker, and he gets the clean pin. Riddick Moss pins Ricochet in the middle of the ring to win the 24/7 title, a belt that Santa Claus won.
Yeah, a lot of people win it. Didn't like some. I think did Brady Quinn win it, or was just some dude with Brady Quinn winning it? I don't even remember now.
There's a list of
that sportscaster dude won it. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
clean.
Carmella. Yeah. Look, it's. Yeah. Somebody needs to get out of Dodge. You know what I mean? But
ain't happening.
Yeah, I think his contract. These guys are contracted for a long time. I don't know how long, but I don't know how long his deal is. But it's not like I haven't been asked that all night tonight.
All right, here's a list of the people that have won this title. Marshmello, the Singh brothers, Michael Giacchio, who is WWE's senior account manager. He won the belt. Ricochet lost here. Kyle Busch.
That one.
Santa.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Who did you name earlier?
The sportscaster dude, or I just remember a sportscaster guy named Brady Quinn in a skit over the belt.
Ennis Cantner.
Yeah, the NBA player, yeah.
Yeah, Mayor Glenn Jacobs was a champion. Freaking EC3 was a champion.
Mm-hmm.
But man, oh man, Ricochet could not take home this title here tonight.
Well, I don't think that I didn't think that beating Riddick Moss made any sense. But when I was watching the match, it was just kind of like, just the fact.
How does beating Riddick Moss not make sense?
Well, I don't think that
it's a 24/7 champion.
Yeah, but I just don't. I mean, Riddick Moss just showed up, so there's no point.
Ricochet just had a world championship match.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't understand the match to begin with, and then whatever. I don't I don't know what the mentality is. There's obviously.
I think the mentality is Ricochet's done.
Ricochet's done. Yeah. Well, maybe they'll. It's Vince. He may change his mind next week, but yeah, this week he's done. He's so done. Yeah, there's no, yeah, this was a burial without a doubt. Like, who knows? He just gets these things in his head. Like with Cedric Alexander, I was supposed to get a big push, and Vince just buried the guy, and now he's burying another guy.
Well, they announced that Cena is going to be on the Firefly Funhouse on Friday, so you can look forward to that.
So they're trying to keep that rating up because Cena, drew the highest rating that show's done in quite a while.
AJ comes out and cuts a promo. He's upset that Undertaker stole his trophy. Mark Wahlberg is trying to give him advice. They have video on the big screen of Mark Wahlberg telling him to walk away. AJ says, I should be in a good mood. I should have a trophy. I'm getting this advice from Marky Mark. Can't believe we got Marky Mark references.
So now is I'm wondering if it just looked like Mark Wahlberg was there to plug.
He's there to plug his new show.
Yeah, to plug some project on was Netflix the show, right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what it looked like. I don't know if it's anything more. It's always possible. It's WrestleMania. I don't know what, but...
So then Aleister Black comes out, and he's going to face AJ. And AJ, for the second straight show, AJ says, well, you clearly didn't read this contract. In order to get me, you've got to go through Carl Anderson. So we got another stupid babyface that didn't read the contract. And in fact, throughout the match, the announcers are pointing out, this guy probably should have read the contract. Yeah. So he faces Carl Anderson.
Yeah, but you know what? Shouldn't, the promotion know what's in the contract and then have advertised it, what the match was going to be?
Well, you'd think.
It's like...
But this goes both ways. Read the goddamn contract.
But then, if that's the case, if that's what the contract said, then why were they advertising him against AJ in the first place?
I do not know. So it goes a minute. They come back. Aleister makes a comeback. K brought up. Black Mask gets the pin. 3 guesses what happens next. AJ says, well, you got to go through Luke Gallows. So he faces Luke Gallows. He does not, in fact, beat Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows beats the hell out of him in the corner. The referee tells Luke Gallows to stop. He doesn't. And so Luke Gallows is DQ'd for, and I quote, being far too aggressive.
For not breaking.
Great.
For not breaking by the count of 5 legitimately.
So we get a stupid babyface that didn't read the contract, and then he wins VDQ because the other guy was far too aggressive. Then he faces AJ, but they've killed him with a magic killer, so he's dead. And AJ destroys him, hits him with a brain buster, hits him with a phenomenal forearm, crosses his arms, and pins him like The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good, and it went way too long.
Yeah. I mean, the issue here is that Vince... I don't know if AJ's hurt, because if you notice, AJ's done nothing of late. He hurt his shoulder. But since he came back, he hasn't worked house shows. In Saudi Arabia, he really did nothing. If you think back at those 2 matches, the one match was 1 bump and that was it. And then the match with R-Truth, he did absolutely nothing. So, I think that maybe they're protecting him. But the other thing, too, is that, because he's wrestling Undertaker at WrestleMania, Vince is making sure he's being booked strong. Now, the thing is so they got it's no DQ match coming up this week? No DQ match on Sunday?
No DQ on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's ways out of it. The only thing I could think of to get out of it is Undertaker, distracts AJ, and then Aleister Black gets the win. That's the only finish I can come up with. Either that or, because if AJ wins, but it's due to outside interference or something, it makes Aleister Black look really bad. Not that this didn't, but it would be really, But Vince isn't going to let Aleister Black, I don't think Vince will let Aleister Black beat AJ clean right now. It's just not, if he was wrestling someone under The Undertaker, maybe, but, it's always funny because it seems like almost every babyface, because it was the case with Ricochet, with Cedric, with Umberto, it's like they're put in a position, and AJ is the guy who is going to be the big win to set them up to be a star, and then in every case AJ ends up not losing to them. So I think that it happening so often kind of tells me that I think Vince is there. It's like, oh, wait a minute, they have the whole angle built up. I don't know if this is the case, but because it's happened over and over again, I think it's because Vince really likes AJ, and it's just like, wait a minute, you're not having this guy who I don't even know beat AJ, and then the guy ends up dead because the whole angle is built on him, beating AJ. So that's how babyfaces don't get over.
That's one of many reasons.
One of many, yeah.
So they do this match, and they go backstage, and Charlie Caruso with a straight face says, well, as you can see, AJ Styles enforcing his dominance over Aleister Black in that match just now. What match did you watch? They had 2 guys beat the guy up, then they double-teamed him, and then AJ hit a forearm to a guy who was dead. So then Ruby shows up. Charlie wants to know if anyone ever thought the Riot Squad might be split up the way they did.
Only everyone, right?
Jiminy. I can't even watch AEW anymore because after watching everyone's interviews, I turn on this show And these interviews in the back, it kills the show for me. They're so horrible. The questions are horrible. The delivery is horrible. The answers are horrible. Ruby Riott says, "The only person I'm responsible for is myself. I will show the universe there are no friends inside the Elimination Chamber." Oh my God. So then we have Liv versus Ruby with Sarah Logan as referee. So, I mean, I guess they presume we were going to care about the Riot Squad breaking up, even though on a scale of like 1 to 100, they put about 1 into this storyline in terms of effort. So they're out there and nobody cares. And nobody cares about Liv versus Ruby. Nobody cares about Sarah Logan as referee. They're doing all these spots that nobody cares about. And
I'm wondering if they thought because Liv Morgan is local that people might be more into her here than somewhere else.
Well, she could always come out and beat somebody quick, and they'd probably be into her, but they certainly weren't going to be into her for this.
Yeah.
So Ruby's yelling at Logan. Logan's yelling at Ruby. Ruby accidentally hits Logan on a kick out, and then they start arguing. Liv rolls up Ruby. Sarah does a fast count to help Liv win. Lawler, the heel announcer, points out it's a fast count, and he's right.
And he's right. I mean, it's like, what was that? What was that? Because it made Ruby look like, but I guess it was to protect Ruby, but it was like,
it didn't protect her much.
But it made Liv look so bad because she took a win with a fast count, and like just.
And then she gets turned on.
Yeah.
Sarah Logan beats her up. So.
Well, no. Sarah Logan shoved down Ruby Riott.
And then turned on Liv and laid her out.
Did a running knee. So the idea of that is because they're all in the Elimination Chamber and they're all for themselves. So I got that. I understood that. It was to, just to explain they're all going to be in that chamber, but there's no friends.
This was brutal. Then we had a giant recap of the Orton Edge storyline. And then, yes, No Way Jose sees Rowan backstage. They want to see what's in the cage. Rowan says, I swear to God I'm not making this up. All I've wanted was someone to be really respectful and ask me nicely to see what's in the cage. So you know what? No way. I'm going to show you in the rosebuds. He turns around. He pulls out the
conga line.
Goofy fake spider. Everybody goes running. And he puts the spider back in the cage. This is horrible. Remember when Bad News Allen revealed the sewer rats and they didn't move and they were clearly like puppets or stuffed animals or something? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. This was horrible.
I was dumbfounded after all those months. It just felt like I don't know. I don't get it.
So we got Kyrie versus.
But I mean, it's like they did it, but it's like it didn't. Why would you involve No Way Jose? I mean, I don't know. I was just, what is this?
We have Kyrie and Shayna, and Asuka cuts a promo before the match. And
that was actually a good promo.
It was a good promo. She talked about Becky. I don't know what she said, but she's mad. And then she says she says Kyrie's hungry for Shayna. And so they do this match. Kyrie working as a total babyface. And
she had to.
Runs wild early. Shayna cuts her off, stomps the leg. She starts working over the leg. And she works it over. And she works it over. And the crowd is bored. Then they just hit Becky Lynch's music. She does her full entrance with music, outfit, the whole 9 yards in the middle of a wrestling match.
What was the deal with the crown?
It was Lawler's crown.
That was the stupidest thing.
She went to do commentary. She puts on Lawler's crown.
I just thought her wearing Lawler's crown was so stupid. Just I just didn't get it at all.
She has nothing to say. Kyrie makes a comeback. She tries
good
the elbow.
Good delivery, though. Real good. I thought her delivery was so good, but in the end, it was kind of like they're supposed to have this big grudge, and she's just sitting there, and,
being a clown.
Yeah, just goofing off, yeah.
Shayna wins with the choke. She puts the hold back on Kyrie afterwards. Asuka is just vanished. She's nowhere to be found. Becky starts screaming from the announce table that Shayna has to come at her. She says, I don't even have my boots on. I'll fight you right now. I'm like, well, go to the ring then. What are you waiting for? And Shayna stands in the aisle, and then they just cut away, and that's the end of the segment. This was bad.
This was confusing. Yeah. And it wasn't the debut for Shayna that it needed to be by any means. Which is funny because, I would have thought that Kairi Sane and Shayna would be a pretty safe bet, but they went too long. I mean, that was the basic key to everything. They went, Shayna Baszler's debut, especially since she's going to be wrestling Asuka at the pay-per-view, and also because Kairi Sane is not in the chamber, so they don't have to protect her this week. Shayna just should have run over her, and it didn't happen, and I don't know. I didn't think that the match was bad. It was just this crowd was not really buying it, but the Becky Lynch stuff was bad. She wasn't good at all, and just kind of wasn't it. I don't know. It wasn't what it should have been. That's for sure.
So they go back to poor Sarah trying to interview Ray. They gave her a full Bible chapter to memorize. She stumbles through it. She messes up Shayna's name. She's stumbling over her words. And finally she asks Ray, how will this rivalry end? Ray goes, it'll end how we want it to end. This was bad. Then we have Andrade and Angel Garza versus Ray and Humberto Carrillo. The show just turned around.
This was a good match.
Turned 180 around here. Yeah, this match was so much fun.
I didn't think the crowd was that into this match, though.
Well, dude, they had 2 hours of terrible wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it was the wrestling was smooth and everything, but it wasn't like they were cold for Andrade. I mean, and
well, he's been badly overshadowed.
They were cold for Carrillo. They were very cold for Carrillo. I mean, they were not really into the match that much. I mean, yeah, they moved well. They're good.
The fans weren't into it, but I thought this match was great. Angel and Andrade are a great team.
Yeah, but they didn't get over. I mean, Andrade was so cold tonight.
Well, it's one night.
He's a good worker. Of course he's a good worker. I think that I like the idea of that team a lot with Zelina's manager. I think that's a really cool, that should be a really cool act. And, but I don't think that watching it, it didn't get over like I envisioned it, for them to be the future tag team champions and everything like that. And I don't know that they're going to be.
Maybe if they would have done a better job getting us excited for this match. I mean, yeah, if you watched Super Showdown, you saw the return of Andrade. But if you didn't watch Super Showdown, all of a sudden Raw turns on and just Andrade is back. Yeah, and he's standing in the ring.
He didn't do anything at Super Showdown, and Ray didn't do anything at Super Showdown either.
Well, the point is, he's just
and then
there.
Carrillo lost again. So it was kind of all those guys, what can you say? Garza's been protected. But
well, one way or the other, I really like this. I thought Angel and Andrade worked really well together. Humberto sold great. They had all sorts of high spots during the heat. It wasn't your boring WWE heat with chin locks. Ray made a comeback, hit a destroyer. Andrade mocked Eddie.
Yeah, what's weird when I was watching Ray do the destroyer? It's why is the pile driver banned?
Well, I think that Vince is so old that he can't figure out what's going on when he sees flips, and he hasn't figured out it's a pile driver yet. So if you tell him, it's going to be banned again.
Because that the pile driver's completely banned in WWE unless you're Undertaker or Kane, where you're allowed to do it as a tombstone. But the regular pile driver, the move that Bill Longson or whoever it was developed first, but he was the first one who popularized it, that a million guys from Orndorff and Harley Race and everybody else did. It's a banned move in WWE, but then these guys are doing this Canadian Destroyer, and it's I guess it makes the same sense as in Mexico, where the pile driver's banned and everyone does.
Honest to God, I'm not even being sarcastic. I don't think he realizes it's a pile driver. I think it's just he thinks it's a cool looking flipping move.
Well, they weren't allowed to do it until recently.
I know. Don't you know the story of this?
No, what?
Apparently there was some NXT match. It was a takeover or something, and Vince was there.
Adam Cole, maybe?
And yes, somebody did a destroyer, and Vince was like, God damn, why don't we do those moves on the main roster? Something like that. And it was allowed on the main roster.
Okay. I mean, I don't care that it's allowed. I mean, it's fine. It's just that, like, you know, why is the pile driver banned? Because I remember there was like there was this really fantastic TV match with Cena and Punk where they did the pile driver on their own, and I think they were fined for it. I know they were fined for it. So it's kind of like, and then no one's done it since, or if they have, it's, you know, Undertaker, who's, you know, he's allowed to do things that other people are banned from doing, but it's just weird.
One of the other Ray hits a 619 on both guys. Diving Hurricane Run off the apron on Garza. Humberto hits the moonsault on Andrade. Pins the Intercontinental Champion. Clean pin. I really like this. Thank God for these four men saving the show.
I don't think they saved the show.
They did for me. The show was at the bottom of the barrel till they came out.
Yeah. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't over the way I thought it should have been. I think it was late in the show anyway, you know, and the crowd was already checked out by then. So I think that was the problem. I mean, Randy Orton got him back, but Randy Orton was phenomenal.
So Randy Orton, well, first Beth comes out to give a medical update, but Randy Orton immediately interrupts.
Which she never did, by the way. We have no idea how Edge is doing.
No. So Orton wants a hug and a handshake. She won't give it to him. You think I would hug or shake your hand after what you did to my husband, you son of a bitch? So he sits in the corner for her to talk, and she starts doing this promo. Says, I'm here as a mother because my children deserve their father. Maybe there are possibilities, she begins, and he jumps down and he grabs Mike. There are guys, by the way, chanting RKO. They're just waiting for this woman to be laid out. It's like, good God almighty. So Orton gets the mic, and basically this is what he says. He says, in 1999, I went to a show in St. Louis, and I was just a fan. My dad was trying to get me into this business. I saw all of these big stars there, but one guy came up to my dad and gave him respect. It was Edge. He shook my dad's hand. He said he was one of the best bad guys in history of the business. And Cowboy told Edge, this is my son Randy. He's trying to break into this business, and Edge told him, good luck, kid. Maybe one of these days, if you play your cards right, we might work together in this ring. And this gave Randy confidence. And Randy became a star, and eventually him and Edge battled over the Intercontinental title, then they were rated RKO. But then Randy says, I flew too close to the sun. I hit a rough patch, made some poor life choices, dug a hole so deep I should have been buried, but Edge reached down and he saved my life. And he made me realize there's more to life. There's love, children, a family, playing with your kids. I could teach my boys to be men. I could teach my girls how men should treat them, all because of Edge and him saving my life.
Didn't he take him to, like, volleyball games and softball games and stuff, too?
Yes. And he says, I returned the favor, and I saved his life. At the Royal Rumble, this guy came out. I got goosebumps seeing his entrance. But the next night, I realized that Edge thought that he was back for good. And I knew that somebody like me was going to try to make a name for themselves and put him in a wheelchair or worse. And I wanted you, Beth, to have a husband. I wanted your daughters to have their father. Thanks to me, Edge can be their father. He can go on hikes, go to volleyball, be their father. He's going to be there because of me. And I did it because I love Edge, I love you, and I love your two little kids. But the sad truth is, everybody blames me for what I did to Edge. Everyone thinks it's my fault, but deep down in your heart, it's your fault, Beth. You're an enabler. You enabled Edge. If he was a drug addict, you'd hand him drugs. Alcohol, you'd hand him a drink. He's a junkie for the roar of the crowd. You did nothing to stop him, nothing to help him. I had to step in because I love him like a brother. He gives his speech, and the fans stand up and they start clapping for Randy.
They were cheering him for doing this speech.
For allowing Edge to stay at home with his family.
They missed the angle.
And he says,
where
I realized
he was out there to kill him.
I realized
it would have been a great speech if he would have instead of killing him, he would have, like, I don't know, done something like
revoked his wrestling license.
Yeah, like something like that, like got him medically uncleared, gone to the doctor, and you know what it could have been, like he gone to the doctor and like
he had secret X-rays they provided to the
like
doctor.
Doctored neck X-rays for him, so he got he got whatever, they wouldn't license him. Yeah.
So he says, I love Lyric and Ruby are two little girls. I love them, and I love Edge more than you ever could. The truth hurts, doesn't it? And she slaps him. He throws down the mic, and they stare at each other for a long time. And finally, you just see his lips read, you bitch. And she boots him, and he gives her the RKO, and they cut to a bunch of dudes in the audience clapping.
And they were all
it's like,
cheering.
Oh my God. Orton is the one man in the crowd disgusted with what he's done. He hangs his head and he leaves. And they sent out a bunch of refs for Beth, which is more than they did for her husband, so she should be happy. Announcers have to act all outraged. And
well, that was at least good. I thought the announcers played it up really well. As far as that, they were,
Byron calls him a son of a bitch. And that's it. That's it. Hey, listen, this was a big time WrestleMania angle.
Oh yeah,
and they don't have a lot of them, but
yeah,
this was. And Randy Orton is unbelievable.
Randy Orton,
he was so good in this promo.
Yeah, he's the big star. He's the big star in the promotion right now. As a performer. So Edge is back next week.
Now, is that officially announced, or is he just coming back? He better just show up like unannounced.
They're already advertising him.
I know, but it's not like WWE puts a graphic.
No,
on the
WWE
screen.
is
this
not
is local
not
advertising, right?
Yeah, I know. Even if they did advertise him, it wouldn't matter. They change their mind every hour.
That's true. He just needs to show up.
This show wasn't exactly how it was planned by any means.
You don't say.
And it just ended up this way. I don't know how. I couldn't answer that question, but
Well, there's a crazy guy in charge. It's the easy answer.
I guess.
That's Raw, everybody, and then we got to wait for Friday for John Cena on the Firefly Funhouse. What a segment that show. All right, what did you think of this Raw show?
I thought it started out pretty well, but that 8-man tag, I'm surprised it's over. That thing never ended.
Dude, it's not even that it never ended, but I feel like I have seen that match like on every single Raw since the beginning of the year.
Well, since the beginning of time.
I mean, it's just like, it was. How can I say this?
It wasn't that good of a match. I thought the match was like at the very end, like, but it's like if you put an 8-man tag with WWE, the way they're structured, the last 2 minutes are always good anyway. So like the last 2-3 minutes were really good. But we were like 19, 20 minutes in and it's still like slow and the crowd's dead and, until it did pick up at the end. And, it did feel like what we've seen.
We've been watching the exact same match or some variation of it over and over and over again on every show in 2020. And it's not like it's bad. If it were bad, that'd be one thing. It's fine. Sometimes it's good. But it just feels like it feels like I'm watching a rerun every week.
I didn't think this one was particularly good. It just felt, I know 3 hours is long, but it wasn't just the 3 hours of it, because I was pretty with the show. I actually thought the show was doing pretty well. They're building everything to Mania, so this is the most focused time of the year. They have a card, especially on the Raw side. On the Raw side, they really have a card. The SmackDown side, I think they have a card, but it changes all the time. But the key Raw matches haven't, they've been in place. The women's tag has changed because the women's tag was going to be Natalya and Beth Phoenix against the Kabuki Warriors, and now it's a 3-way with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss added in. But Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch has been planned since the beginning of time, literally. Edge and Randy Orton has been planned ever since Edge was going to come back. What's Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre has been, it was either going to be Brock Lesnar against Drew McIntyre or Brock Lesnar against Aleister Black, one or the other. But one of those two has been in the cards for months. It's just a question of which one of the two it would be, and they went with McIntyre. So, they're very focused in a direction, and they're really, and AJ and Undertaker's been on the books for at least a little while. So, the thing is everything is now geared towards building those matches. So it's focused, but and it's a lot of just getting those key guys over. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens has been in some form. Obviously, that thing's been going on forever. Ever since Seth Rollins turned, and even before, because if you remember when Seth Rollins was starting the turn, it was always Kevin Owens was the guy who was seeing through him and everything like that. So, I mean, that was, you can go back months and you can see that was going, being built for WrestleMania. So, it's the show itself. It was kind of like, okay, we're going to WrestleMania and we're doing promos for WrestleMania. We're only a couple weeks out. And it was a fine show until the last 30 minutes when it just slowed to a crawl.
So they announced Edge was going to return tonight. He was late. We'll get to him after a while. Becky comes down to the ring and cuts a promo on Shayna. And first they show footage from after the Chamber last night. And Shayna does his promo saying, "I took a chunk out of your neck. It's only a taste of what I can do. Wrecked everybody in the Chamber. This is a direct message to you. I'm going to take your title. There's not a damn thing you can do about it, bitch." So then Becky cuts her promo and says, "You're a world-class scumbag, a black hole of charisma. I might be a bitch, but I'm the bitch that runs this division. You're the biggest threat to come my way since I pried the belt from Ronda's broken fingers last year. I beat a train killer once, I'll do it again." She says, "You're underestimating me. I will smash your face in for it." It's a very good promo. Easy stuff. Building up the match. This was good.
Good delivery. Not as much heat as I expected from it, though. Which I guess maybe it's the crowd, whatever. But when Becky, who's, one of the hottest acts on the roster, when she's out there doing the promo and she's delivering good promo, I mean, it's not like it was dead. I mean, it did get dead later in the show. It wasn't dead, but it was not as live as I expected it to be. That was the one thing that I was like noticing. It's like, God, it's Becky, and it's a good crowd tonight. I mean, not giant crowd, but it was definitely, it was a whatever. I mean, it was a little above the normal Raw crowd. I guess for Raw, I guess if we're going to go with the standard of what Raw should be in Washington, D.C. 3 weeks before Mania, it was about 20% lower than that, or 30% lower. But it's still a good crowd by modern standards.
We had Ray versus Angel Garza. I loved this match.
It was very well done. Yeah.
Angel's on the way to the ring, and he's trying to find some woman to kiss.
That may not be a good idea right now, even though
that's the point. There's this lady on the aisle, and he goes to kiss her, and she looks at him. She knows she's supposed to kiss the guy, but she doesn't want to kiss him, probably because of the coronavirus. So she kisses her hand and puts her hand on his face.
That's not a good idea either.
And he looks at her, and he's like, "We're kissing." And he kissed her way back by the ear, and, I mean, she took the kiss, but it might be a decent idea to back off on the kiss.
Yeah. I think that they don't need to be doing this right now. It looks bad for people on TV who actually know what's going on. You know that at Access, from what I understand, it's like a no-touch policy. Like there's no physical contact, no handshaking or anything. At least that's what everyone's been told. And a lot of these conventions like this are being shut down, for that very reason. So everyone just needs to be. You just got to be more cautious right now. That wasn't. It just wasn't smart. It just wasn't smart.
So they do this really fun match. It was a little. There was some stuff in the first couple of minutes where it looked like they were on different pages. Ray went for this diving Hurricane Rana, and he actually starts spinning, but then Angel just wouldn't let him go. And he lifted him up and flipped him over, and Ray landed funny, and it was just weird. So anyway, he tears off the pants, goes for the 619. This is Angel going for Ray's move. Ray boots him, starts his big comeback, and finally he misses the 619. Angel hits a super kick. Ray tries to destroy her. Garza counters it. Ray hits a 619, springboard splash, gets the pin. I mean, they flat out said 50-50 booking without using those words. It was like, oh, we got the big win back for last week. So that's what happens. 50-50 booking. But I liked it.
I wasn't a fan of Garza losing. Not that like he needs to be undefeated, because he doesn't. I mean, it was, when he lost, I was a little on the surprise side because he hasn't been pinned. And I don't know that this was the week to do it, but it was a good match. And
I was mildly irritated, but you got to remember, he was supposed to come up and then, like when Andrade came back, I guess go back. But he didn't. So I'm celebrating anything.
Yeah, I don't think that he can go back. He did too well.
I sure hope not.
Yeah. I'll check on that, though.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he didn't come out with Andrade last night, and he got beaten here. So I don't think it's out of the question that he's going back.
But he still had Zelina with him, although I guess she was going to... Because they need to play up. But the interesting thing is like they... I mean, they haven't really done much. They did the one tag match, but they haven't really done much as far as the dynamic between those two. And to me, that's like the big one is those guys being a team for a while and then splitting up down the line. I mean, I think that's just a natural, obvious way to go.
So earlier today, Kevin Owens showed up. Seth and AOP form a human wall. They attack him. They beat his ass. Leave him laying. They announced Austin's back next Monday, 3/16.
So they should do a good rating next week. They should do a good rating this week, too, because it's coming off the pay-per-view and, the Edge return. So, but next week should be, next week should be...
Coming off the pay-per-view hasn't meant that much.
Yes, it has, actually. It's been of late. The one pay-per-view... Well, but I mean, the Rumble was only disappointing. The Rumble was only disappointing because it was the Rumble, but it was still a good number. It wasn't as good a number as you would expect coming off the Rumble, but it was still, one of the best numbers of the year. And the day after the Saudi show did a big number. So yeah, it makes a difference. But but next week should be bigger. I think next week should be bigger than this week. Next week with Austin, it could be the biggest of the year. Hopefully it is for their sake, because, I mean, there's not too many. The only rabbit they got out of the hat they could pull bigger than Austin is Dwayne. That's and I don't sense that. I don't know. It's interesting because Dwayne does usually get involved in some form, even if it's just a promo for Mania. And I haven't heard his name mentioned at all. I don't know if he's busy. I should actually check if he's busy or not on that week. But even when he's busy, he seems to cut his schedule out so he can do the show.
With a replay of the Rhea Ripley video, and then Charlotte comes out to cut a promo and basically says she's fighting for the NXT title to teach Rhea a lesson. They show the whole video package where the whole package is about Rhea saying, people said I look too much like Charlotte, so I spent 3 years or 2 years or whatever trying to be as different as I possibly could. And then they go to Charlotte and she says, well, Rhea, you will never be me. There's only one me. Like, did you watch the video package? Her whole point was she doesn't want to be you. She's trying to be as different from you as humanly possible. So Rhea comes out and tries to cut a promo. Charlotte won't let her talk. And so Rhea decks her, leaves. Charlotte smiles after getting knocked down. This was not a home run. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was there.
Lashley beat Zack Ryder. Dominator. We want Lana Chance.
Yeah, so she's doing a movie with Bruce Willis, and they said that. They told you that that's why she's gone for a while. We
had clips of Drew laying out Brock last week, and then Alistair's about to do an interview when, in fact, someone actually knocks on his door. It is Seth Rollins and Murphy. Seth tries to recruit him. They throw him a T-shirt. He doesn't want to wear their stupid T-shirt. He throws it back. Seth says, I guess I wasn't clear enough the first time. You're either with me or against me. Alistair says, well, that sounds like a challenge. I accept. So the match is on for later. We had Drew McIntyre against Rowan. It's a glorified squash match. Drew beats him up.
It has to be.
And then he grabs the cage. He grabs the steel steps. He crushes the cage and whatever is in it. And then he hits the DDT and the Claymore for the pin. Did I really have to watch this storyline since November for this to be the end of it?
I guess so. Whatever it was, Vince decreed the end of it last week. So this was
maybe because it was so stupid that they had a fucking giant mechanical spider. That was ridiculous.
It was stupid. I might as well get out of it. At that point, that segment was horrible.
4 months, and that's what they came up with, a mechanical spider that looked so stupid that they killed it. I mean, you should write a book about that one. That alone. That's the story of this company over the last
That's an unbelievable
2 years.
That's an unbelievable one. They spent all that time on that mystery. Usually you would think when you have the mystery, you've got a great ending, already written when you start.
Oh, come on. Kidding me?
I mean, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, but I mean, what are we talking about here?
If I'm writing a story, I already got the story written when I start it, and I'm sure that I'm sure that when they started the story, they had an ending, and I'm just guessing that.
I think it's 50-50 they knew what was in the cage when they started this thing.
Oh, I think it's probably more like 90%. But I think that the guy changed his mind, and once he changed his mind, and I'm sure he just woke up one day and just goes, "We're ending it." I mean, that's it. We're ending it. So they ended it.
Recap of the Randy promo, and then out come the Kabuki Warriors. They cut a promo. I believe they were lamenting Asuka's wrist injury. That's probably why they said she didn't beat Shayna. Asuka's mad. She wants to fight tonight. And they're interrupted by Liv and Natty. And
well, they were going to have a match with Liv and Natty. It was plugged at the beginning of the show.
This match wasn't bad. And
no, it wasn't bad
Liv
at all.
is totally fine in the ring. And the one thing that I got to say about her is she is green, but when I watch her, I feel like I'm watching somebody who's trying to wrestle, as opposed to going out there and trying to do like a bunch of choreographed gymnastic spots, which like half the women's roster does. She at least looks like she's trying to do a wrestling match. And she ran wild a little bit on Kyrie early, and it was fine. And they got the heat on Natty. And finally out come, first it was Ruby, then it was Sarah Logan. They get in a fight. Liv is about to get the hot tag, but as the announcer explained 55 times, she can't help herself. She dives off the post onto both of them. They all go down.
Why can she not help herself?
I don't know, but they kept telling me that repeatedly, so it must mean something.
Okay.
So Natty has no one to tag. She has to go it alone. She puts a sharpshooter on Kyrie. Asuka gets a blind tag, kicks Natty, gets the pin. I liked it. I don't know why Liv jumped off the post, but as a match, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was well done. Obviously, it's to build for the Beth Phoenix thing, which I don't know, like how. I guess the idea is how long does Beth Phoenix have to sell that? The thing from last week. It was like just one RKO, really.
Dude, it was one RKO, and she's like a semi-active wrestler. I mean, she should be back by now.
Well, it's only been a week, but she shouldn't have been on this week's show. I mean, that wouldn't have made sense, but she could be on next week's show. And they are running out of weeks. I mean, it didn't they kind of have to get this thing going. And so, yeah, by all, I would think that next week she should be back.
We have AJ out for his big promo, and the fans chanted for The Undertaker. And he said, 3 years ago, I saw Undertaker get beaten by Roman Reigns. Took off his gloves, laid him in the ring, walked away. I'd have been scared of this guy a few years ago, but now all I see is a broken down guy named Mark Calloway.
Well, this was an interesting thing, but that line would have worked so much better if AJ hadn't been chokeslammed to death twice in like seconds by the
this
guy.
Broken down old man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if they'd had no physical contact and he was doing this would be good, but the thing in Saudi was like one move, and then the thing on the pay-per-view was like one, two shows in a row, one move. So it's kind of, but the whole thing was he's Mark Calloway, and his
wife Michelle McCool is going to try to run him into the ground. He's going to help. I am going to make sure you die in the ring at WrestleMania. He said that.
Yes, he did. I wouldn't have used that term either.
You're telling me.
Die, yeah.
I'm going
He
to
is
make
the dead
sure
man,
you
so I guess
die in that ring at WrestleMania.
Yeah, he is the dead man, so I think that maybe death isn't as bad when you say it for him as it would be for like anyone else. But still, you know, it is pro wrestling, and you know, dying. You know, I mean, people have had to deal with a lot of deaths in pro wrestling over the last 15 years.
Says he promises he will literally put the nail in his coffin. So are we getting a coffin match?
Checking. I don't know the answer to that yet. Hopefully I'll know that by tomorrow.
Charlie's with Randy. He has no thoughts, so she leaves. This was better than most backstage interviews. We had Riddick Moss, Cedric Alexander.
God, the crowd was dead for this thing.
They sure were, but this Riddick Moss, that dude can hit the ropes. Holy smokes.
Riddick Moss is one of the best athletes in this company. He looks good. You know, he looks exactly like Perro Aguayo Jr., except he's all jacked up, you know, but, I mean, he's got certain intangibles, and it's probably why they're giving him a push, but nobody knows who he is, and they need to get people to know who he is, and I'm not sure what level of charisma he has, because I remember when Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli were a team, and I always felt like Riddick Moss was a pretty solid worker, and I actually expected that those guys as a team would make the main roster a couple of years ago, but Tino Sabatelli got hurt, and you know, has been out for a long time, so it didn't happen, and they put him with Dorian Mack, and then for whatever reason, you know, I guess Paul Heyman liked him and wanted to bring him up. But they need to tell people who the guy is. And I'm just not sure of his charisma. I'm mechanically, he's solid, and look, you know, he's got a great look and everything. And yeah, he's very, you know, he's one of the best athletes in the company. So he's got that going for him. He's working with Cedric Alexander, and it was fine, but yeah, I mean, and you know, look, Cedric Alexander's been buried for months, so no one's going to get behind him because they know that he's, you know, whatever. And Riddick Moss, they just don't know who the guy is. You know, even though he beat Ricochet last week, they just don't know who he is.
So when we were talking about all the cancellations in Japan, did we mention the rest of the New Japan Cup?
As far as?
Apparently it was just canceled all the way through March 21st.
I was expecting that any day now, so that would be the official announcement. Yeah, I mean, I was expecting that because they were told, you know, the government said nothing until March 25th at least, so that would be the rest of the New Japan Cup. Yeah,
well, it's official.
Yeah,
MVP's in the ring, and oh my God, MVP's in the ring. He says, "I'm transitioning out of the ring." So he's retired again. It's like the second time in a month.
Yeah.
Going to build a stable, lead others to titles. I want to build it around a guy like Edge. He's a great dude, but he has problems with focus. I can lead Edge back to the prominence that he once had. So just then a limo pulls up and it's Edge. He gets out. No neck brace, nothing. Storms to the ring. MVP says, "Come on out, I got a proposition for you." Edge grabs the mic and he just demands Randy come out. MVP says, "Dude, you're focusing on the wrong things. Speaking of that, how is your wife?" Edge freaks out. This is a bad negotiator, this MVP. Edge spears him. Randy flies in out of nowhere. They have a quick brawl. Edge lays out Randy with the RKO. He goes.
It wasn't a very pretty RKO.
Goes and grabs two chairs. Randy flees. And so MVP goes after Edge. Edge chokes him out with a standing head and arm choke. So he's now using Jack Swagger's finish, Jake Hager. RKO's him onto a chair. Gives him the one-man concerto. Fans chant one more time, so he gives him another one. So, Edge was really good here. Randy Orton's great. I know they're hurting for ratings, and they just couldn't help themselves but advertise his return. But I can only think that this would have been so much better if Edge would have just done some surprise return and went after Randy. There's just something about them advertising him coming back that just made it like, I don't know.
They needed ratings.
I know. It's sad. Because you know what this show is missing? The show is missing that feeling that anything can happen. And if Randy would have been doing one of his segments that he does every week, and boom, here comes Edge, flies out of nowhere, big brawl, RKO, whatever. I mean, the place would have gone nuts. It would have felt like, oh my God, we didn't know that was coming. It was a big surprise. Instead, Edge is on the show tonight, and they just did sports entertainment. Wasn't bad. I mean,
they needed a hook for ratings. That's the reality. And that's more important than surprise pop.
We had Taker and AJ doing a contract signing for next week. We have Hunter getting his Lifetime Achievement Award from Arnold. Everything that you ever need to know to be a success in life, you'll learn in the gym. That's what he told me.
That's not true.
Well, that's what he said.
At all. That is absolutely not true. I've been in the gym for decades, and I've learned far more outside the gym than inside the gym. And it's not even close.
We had a Paul Heyman pre-taped backstage promo, ran over the list of Brock's victims. Nobody's ever been...
Only the big names. Only the biggest names.
Nobody's ever been... Well, that would have taken all night. Nobody's ever been so dominant for so long. Then Drew shows up and says, everything Paul said was true. 100% true. Nobody's ever done what this guy has done. But then he ran into me at the Royal Rumble. And just in case he thought it was a fluke, last week on Raw, I showed Brock that he'd met his match. So it was a good, simple little video package.
Yeah.
Charlie's with Edge. Edge wants to know where Randy is. Charlie says, "Hey, tell you this, he left the arena." Edge is upset. That's the last we see of him. Speaking of the last we see of people, we have Aleister Black versus the former Tyler Black, Seth Rollins. Maybe they're related. So they had a match. It was actually really fun while it lasted, but it wouldn't last long because Murphy just runs in for the disqualification.
They were out there about 7 minutes before they did it. But
so AOP runs down. They're attacking Aleister. The Viking Raiders run down to make the save. They get overwhelmed. The Street Profits run down. They help clear the ring. This, of course, leads to the main event. But Aleister Black vanished into thin air. We never saw the guy again.
He
faded to black.
He did. He disappeared.
And so we got AOP and Seth, who's totally fine, despite facing Aleister, and Murphy against the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. And So, listen, I think I like this match more than you did, but there was a moment that was inconceivable to me. And that is that Eric is in there, and he's selling, and he's selling, and he's selling, and he's selling. And finally, he hits this big knee on Seth. He tags in Montez Ford. Montez hits the ring. He's a house of fire. And he does like this drop kick. He hits a third drop kick. And all of a sudden, they went to a commercial. In the middle of Montez Ford's fiery comeback. They go to commercial, they come back, and he's selling. And they've got him in a hold. I was like, oh my God. Is that the worst placed commercial of the year so far? On a show with a lot of badly placed commercials?
I don't know. There's a lot of commercials in the middle of matches, every week. This was just one of them.
So then...
It felt like there were a million commercials during this match.
Ivar gets, I think, the fourth hot tag in this match. And he's running wild. Breaks down into an 8-way. Everybody's hitting a big spot. All of a sudden, there's Razor, and he can't even move his right arm. It's just hanging by his side. And he's running spots with one arm. And then he's outside, and he's holding guys with one arm. And he's catching dives with one arm. I don't know what happened, but if it turns out that he tore his biceps... I mean, that's sure what it looked like to me. Something's wrong with his right arm. But he finished the match, and Ford hits his big dive, slides back inside, Seth kills him with a curb stomp, pins him. Kevin Owens hits the ring, he's killing everybody, including the one-armed Razor. Seth flies in, curb stomps him, hits a second one, and the heels stand tall as the show goes off.
He hit a third one too, didn't he?
Might have been a third one too. He hit two for sure.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's the show. And I hope Razor's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had a Raw, and as much as everyone needs entertainment, I'm not sure exactly how entertaining the show actually was.
It was tough.
It's Men's Royal Rumble. The entire Men's Royal Rumble aired. And
but here's the thing.
Literally took up 2 hours of the show.
Yeah, because they had commercials. They did not edit 1 minute out. So like you had a commercial break, you came back literally the next second, as opposed to, like the normal thing where you would cut, 4 minutes out and then come back. So it basically filled the show. If people had not seen the Rumble, or for whatever reason, it's a great Rumble. So in that, if you'd seen it, it's an hour match and everything, but if you'd never seen it, it's pretty good. I have no idea how it's going to, it's how this is going to do on television, and does it really matter anyway? I mean, it's just about filling time now.
I'm still constantly amazed that given there's a million, actually less than a million network subscribers in this country, and you've got 2.5 million watching Raw and SmackDown, that they don't even bother saying, hey, everybody, the men's Royal Rumble match, the pay-per-view match, is going to be airing for free on Raw tonight.
They should have advertised it. They absolutely should have advertised it.
It's a shocker. It's like you're watching the show and all of a sudden, hey, it's the Royal Rumble. It's like on SmackDown. Not for 1 second did they announce there was going to be the Elimination Chamber match from this past Sunday, by the way. It's just like you're watching the show and all of a sudden you're watching the Elimination Chamber. It's like, why do you advertise this? Why do you not advertise this?
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, with the Rumble, it was like they opened with a segment, and then it was like, we're going to show you something. And I thought, okay, they showed the opening of the Rumble. So I thought at first, okay, they're showing Lesnar, and then they're going to cut to when Drew McIntyre kicks him over the top rope. And then it just keeps going, and it just keeps going. It's like they didn't tell you we're going to show you the Rumble. They said we're going to show you, what happened with Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre in the Rumble. And then it keeps going and going. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're going until Drew kicks him out. And so finally Drew kicks him out. And then it keeps going and going and going. Then I lost my power for a half an hour.
Well, you missed nothing except the Royal Rumble.
Yes, I know that. And no, because when I came back, it's still going.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, the show opened up with Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, Jerry Lawler opening of the show. Coronavirus, COVID-19, banned term. It is simply referred to as prevailing circumstances. That's how they termed it throughout the show. Then they just ran the show as if it was Raw. So they noted that it's 316
nothing happened.
day. Steve Austin is here. Undertaker is here. Him and AJ will sign their contracts. And Edge is here. So Edge comes out to open the show. And he actually cut a great promo.
Yeah.
I loved this promo. I thought it might have even been better without a crowd there. Because it was just Edge.
Yeah. I agree. This one would have been. This one was as good, if not better, because he had good wording and he told a good story, and it was.
He basically talked about what Orton talked about, how they'd been introduced when Edge was there and Orton was there with his father.
21 years ago, when Randy was 18 years old at the Savvis Center in St. Louis. Yeah,
he knew from that moment things were going to change. Their careers would intertwine. Talked about their history, and he said there was one lesson I took from Mick Foley, and it was one thing that I had that you didn't, and that was grit. And it allowed me to stand up 9 years after neck surgeries, wrist surgeries, come back and compete again. We're a lot alike, but we have one big difference. You may be the best to ever do this, but everything was handed to you on a silver platter. But I had nothing. I was raised by a single mother who broke her back to make sure that my visions, my dreams would come true, and they did. And it makes you jealous. The Royal Rumble, I came back after 9 years. I threw you out. This is about jealousy. You don't love me. 2 weeks ago, he says, Beth came back, and what nobody realizes is she was there to retire me again because she didn't think it was fair that someone should have to retire twice from the thing that they love. So she was going to do it for me. But you wouldn't let her finish, and you talked about how all these years... you pulled me out of all of these holes. We pulled each other out of these holes. You've pulled me out of a hole that you dug for me, and you're going to find out that was a terrible decision. He says, I challenge you to a last man standing match. I'm going to write this story. It is a redemption story. At WrestleMania, you won't stand back up. It was awesome. Awesome promo.
Yep. So he was making the point of how both of their careers, Mick Foley kind of, I think he was trying to say Mick Foley kind of helped make both of them. And Mick Foley did have, may have been Randy Orton's best match ever. You know, when
There's one of them.
Yeah, certainly one of them. And he had the WrestleMania match with Edge. I thought Edge was kind of already made by that point, as I recall. I mean, Randy was kind of a star too, but I thought that really was a turning point for Randy. Whereas with Edge, I never thought that match was necessarily a turning point, but it was a spectacle, and it was because it's WrestleMania, it's Mick Foley. It was actually, I think it was one of the more memorable matches of Edge's career. It was a big match, and all that. But yeah, Randy, I don't know. Randy's a super talented guy, obviously, but it's just like when he calls him like maybe the best ever, it's like, come on, it's like.
I don't know if we have to analyze this one too much.
Well,
I think it's pretty clear that Randy Orton is not the greatest of all time, and I love Randy Orton.
You know him personally?
Well, no, but I mean, as a professional wrestler,
he's a great professional wrestler when he's motivated to be, without a doubt.
He's an excellent professional wrestler.
He's an excellent professional.
But I don't think that he's the greatest of all time.
I don't think he's even close. But I do think that he's great. And when he wants to be and he's motivated, I think he's got a certain style that's really top tier, without a doubt. When as far as pacing and being the character and everything like that, he's as we've seen in this build for this thing, he can, when he's on, he can be really, really good. But I've also seen him for 15 years, and when you count like if you look at like the number of super blowaway matches that a guy has, there are so many guys of modern times way ahead of Randy Orton, let alone of previous times. But, he's a complete performer, without a doubt.
So then we had Becky arriving in her own semi-truck, which is very wacky. They replay the entire men's Royal Rumble. We're now 2 hours into a 3-hour show. Tom Phillips notes WrestleMania not taking place in Tampa. Lawler says the show must go on. We have a Drew versus Brock segment. And then out comes Jerry Lawler for the contract signing. They hit The Undertaker's music. As he starts to come to the ring, they go to commercial. Probably the first time in the history of The Undertaker's career that his entrance was during a commercial break. They come back. He's wearing his American Badass gear. He's kind of shuffling back and forth. Still doesn't look like he's moving very well. And we're told that he's upset because he came here for a contract signing, and there's no contract in the ring. So AJ appears on the big screen, and he says he's got the contract. He says, Undertaker, all sorts of people came through this performance center hoping to be the next Undertaker, except for us. We never went here. You keep interjecting yourself in all these places you don't belong. You don't see Michael Jordan interjecting himself in the NBA Finals, but the Undertaker always injects himself into WrestleMania season. And he says it's your wife's fault. Old Money Michelle, slapping that dust off the jacket, sending you down the aisle to embarrass yourself. You're a shell of your former self. The flame is gone. I should have sympathy, but I don't because you screwed me twice, cost me my trophy, cost me my no DQ match. Lights are going to go off at Mania. You're going to have nowhere to hide. We know you can't run. So we're going to do everyone a favor, and you're going to rest in peace.
That no you can't run was a pretty big dig.
Yes. So AJ signs, and he says, all right, you guys take this to The Undertaker. They don't want to take it to The Undertaker. He commands them. So they go down to the ring. They slide it in there. The lights go out. They come back on. Undertaker's behind Gallows and Anderson. He beats them both up, destroys them, and then signs a contract and shoves it into Anderson's mouth. So the match is on. They flew him out in the middle of this crisis for that.
They flew all of them out. Edge and Austin, too.
This is a small crew, though.
Yeah. You mean Gallows and Anderson?
I'm just talking in general. You had Gallows, Anderson, Austin, Edge, Becky, and the announcers.
Gallows and Anderson. Shayna was there.
Shayna was there, yeah.
Yeah. Rey Mysterio and Andrade and Zelina Vega.
Actually, we had Rey and Andrade with Asuka. Asuka doing commentary.
Asuka was there, too, yeah.
And I love Asuka's interviews, but it was a total distraction during this match. I'm not even sure why she was there, because it's Raw, and they're asking her about SmackDown. And worse, they're asking her if she's going to give Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross a title shot when they lost on SmackDown.
Well, they are getting a title shot.
They can't even figure out the simplest booking.
Well, yeah, they lost because Asuka interfered.
Dude, they lost.
Okay, that's right. They need to win bad. They haven't been announced in the match yet, so they need to win bad. Now, will they get it? But hey, and they may not because it's not a perfect world. But I'm sure that's what the idea was, is that, they haven't announced it yet. They would get a win, in a rematch. And then, and again, we don't even know what that match, they do not know. I mean, there was, okay, the match was a 3-way last week, which would have been Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, and the Kabuki Warriors. Okay. But we don't know now. Like anything that is not announced other than Randy Orton and Edge are obviously having a last man standing match. Okay, but aside from the stuff that's already announced, everything else is up in the air, whether they'll have the match because it's the card's so long, what form, and this is not just SmackDown, this is also Raw. I mean, there are certainly many suggestions going around, but nothing is official. You would think it would be at this late a date, and it's not. I mean, I know that they had a complete card February 17th, and now they don't. But there you go.
So Ray won with the 619 and Big Splash, beat the champion non-title match. So there you go.
So it may be a championship match at WrestleMania, but as I said, because it's not announced, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen. But when you watched it, I mean, my first thought is, oh, that's it. And in fact, it could be, but it's not necessarily. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things it could be.
We had Becky out to respond to Shayna's promo, and another pretty good interview here. She says,
she did well, yeah.
Long as I'm champion, nothing in Shayna's world makes sense. She's trained to think she can bully herself to the top. I saw you run through everybody in NXT, but you haven't run into me yet. You can walk around with the mouth guard, dead eyes. I'm a whole different proposition. I want you to think about how it's going to feel when I beat you. I watched you demolish the entire division Elimination Chamber. It woke me up to reality. But at WrestleMania, I'm going to prove your whole life is a lie, and it's going to hit you like a truck. I wouldn't be surprised if they replayed the Women's Elimination Chamber over the next 2 shows.
Yeah, to fill time. Yeah, it's possible.
We had Charlie with Kevin Owens, and I swear...
So Charlie was there, too.
I swear to God this was her question. I can't even imagine they flew in Charlie to ask this question to Kevin Owens. Kevin, a few weeks ago, Seth Rollins challenged you to a one-on-one match anytime, any place. So have you given any thought as to where you want this match to happen? They flew her in to ask the stupidest question of 2020, which is saying a lot, by the way.
Okay, none of this is her fault.
Well, I'm not blaming her, but my God.
But
you fly her in and ask that stupid question?
She might think you did.
Well, listen, I mean this in the nicest way possible. If she thinks I'm blaming her, then she is stupid. I'm not blaming her, obviously. They're giving her a really stupid question to ask, that they don't need to fly somebody in the middle of this to ask that one profoundly stupid question.
When he could have done the promo, just
give him the mic and let him talk into the camera.
Yep.
So obviously his answer is WrestleMania.
Yep.
Now he did a very good promo accepting this match,
and he's happy that it's on his home court because Seth never went to the Performance Center, and he did. He started at the Performance Center in WWE, and the other one is that he said that Seth was one of the guys who said that he's not cut out for WWE. I don't know if any of this is true.
I would be very surprised if Seth Rollins told Kevin Owens he was not cut out for WWE.
Yeah. The one thing is that he was telling the truth in that almost everyone in wrestling would have said you're not cut out for WWE because you're not what Vince wants. But times change and tastes change, and Kevin is a great talker and a great worker, and a hard worker, so he fit in. But. Yeah, it was good.
So he vowed to beat Seth in the middle of the ring in the same building where he earned his spot in WWE. It was a good promo.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid question. And then Steve Austin came out for his segment. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. He comes out, drinking beer. There's 3 people in the building. And he says, I'm here to make a proclamation that March 16th will be a national holiday. Anybody in the audience wants to know what 316 is all about? Say hell yeah. And there's no fans. Nobody says anything. They just show a shot of the chairs. So he asks again. Byron Saxton, in the most embarrassing manner possible, begins to scream, hell yeah. So...
Yeah, but, from the moment he did that, you know where this is going. And that's
sure.
And Austin had to stun somebody. And of all the guys in the building, Byron Saxton's a trained wrestler. He's the one.
So Austin says 316 Day is all about if someone gives you a load of crap, you can flip them off. Byron then holds up a sign with an 8 on it. So now he's judging the proclamations. Austin says on 316 Day, you can open a can of whoop ass on anyone you want. Byron holds up a 6. Austin says the speed limit is only suggestion. Bryan holds up a 10. Austin says it's a day you don't give a damn and happy hours all day long. That's not today. Byron gives him a 9. Austin says 316 Day is when your boss works for you. Byron holds up a 7. Austin is just aghast. 316 Day means you have beer instead of morning coffee. Byron gives him an 8. 316 Day, a 4-letter word is always acceptable. Byron gives him a 5. And Austin says 316 Day, you can whip anybody's ass.
Austin, in fact, did get mad at that 5.
And get away with it. And he says, Byron, get in the ring. This idiot gets in the ring. Austin toasts him, drinks some beer, and then, because it is 316 Day, and a 4-letter word is always acceptable, Steve Austin kicks him right in the fucking balls on accident and gives him a stunner, and that is the end of Byron Saxton. He gave
him a second stunner later.
Oh, my God. He hit him so hard right in the nuts, and that was the end of Byron. Then Becky came out, got some beers, they toast, he gets another stunner, and that's the end of the show. There you go.
Yep.
That was Raw. We're in for a lot of these, everybody.
Yeah. We may not be. We don't know anything day by day right now. We may be in for these for a while.
I'm pretty confident we're in for these for a little while.
They may be shut down.
Well, I mean, if they're shut down, they'll still just do like archives or something. I can't imagine there not being something on USA Network at 9 o'clock on Monday.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, as far as something, I would think that USA Network will show old footage, and I think
they should air primetime wrestling or something.
I guess. I don't know.
Dude, with the audience they've got, that thing probably would do as good or ratings or better than Raw.
35-year-old stuff, maybe for 1 week it might.
Dude, with a 50-year-old audience?
Not after 1 week.
You might be surprised.
It wouldn't.
What else are they going to watch? Sports?
They'll play, they'll do something else. They'll do what I was doing during that Royal Rumble.
I mean, look what that SmackDown did on Friday night.
That's the first one. It
yeah, it's empty arena. Did a better number than usual because everyone's just sitting at home. I think these numbers are going to be a little better than you're thinking. That's my prediction.
Maybe for a week, but not long term. Long term, when there's nothing going on, people are they'll wait. We'll see. I mean, I got no idea, and it doesn't matter anyway if they're higher or lower. It really doesn't matter. But I don't expect week in and week out, if this goes for a long time and they do these type of shows, that the numbers will stay up. I think there'll be some curiosity at first, but we'll see. Maybe, you're right. A lot of people are going to be inside, and, there's no other sports anyway to watch, and there are wrestling fans, and it is their time to watch wrestling. But I don't know. It's like when I was watching this show as a fan, of course, someone who had seen the Royal Rumble. If I hadn't seen the Royal Rumble, I probably would have liked the show a lot. Having seen the Royal Rumble, I would have switched to I would switch to the news. And that's the other thing too is, a lot of people really want to watch the news, but on the flip side is you can only handle the news so much, and you definitely need divergence from the news, because that'll just you watch the news all day, it's going to drive you freaking insane right now.
What do you think of this Raw show?
Under the circumstances, I thought that it was a really good show because the key stuff, I thought that they put 4 really good workers in there for the long match. It was Andrade and Garza against Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. And, I mean, there were some rough patches. It was good. I mean, I think it was too long, definitely too long for an empty arena match. And obviously the finish was what the finish was. The finish was a mess. But there was a lot of good action in the match. It was fine. They had two, they had 2 long WrestleMania match. Well, one women's WrestleMania match, Charlotte Flair and Asuka from a few years ago, which was a great match. And they had the, Cena, Rollins, and Lesnar 3-way. And, that was one of the best matches of that year in WWE. So that was great. I suspect they'll do really well with matches like that on television. And the promos, Seth Rollins had a good promo. Randy Orton had a great promo. Heyman had a great promo. I mean, it's, under the circumstances, I would say it was a pretty darn good show. I mean, it wasn't a classic show because it can't be, but, that's just, for what they have to work with, they did real well because of the promos, I would say.
Well, they did move the camera, thank God. The camera now faces the stage.
They moved the camera.
And they covered up the chairs.
Yeah. But both smart. Definitely visually.
It looked so much better.
It was really a big improvement shooting from that direction, without a doubt, yeah.
Now, they didn't have any wrestlers in the crowd, but they were it was interesting because especially in the longest match that they had, the Andrade and Angel Garza versus Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. They went a long time. They had Zelina out there. They had the announcers out there. And they had the Street Profits out there. So there was a lot of people making noise. Yeah, and so it was much more lively.
Yeah, they were over 20 minutes, though. I don't think that...
It was too long.
Yeah, and for an empty arena match, it was an experiment. They had good guys in there. But I just thought... I mean, it wasn't bad, and it didn't... I mean, it did drag in places, but I mean, I think that was just too long. But but there's some cool stuff in the match. I mean, it was way better than the matches that they've been doing.
So showing up with the same Heyman Drew video package from last week, and then Brock and Paul are in the ring, and Paul basically did a promo saying Drew can do whatever he wants. He's not going to beat Brock at WrestleMania. He says what happened at the Royal Rumble in Brooklyn, where he eliminated Brock and then laid him out 3 times. Because of that, Brock is going to make it quick and not painless. What Drew accomplished will make him a made man, a main event star for years to come, but he will not win the title. So it was a good opening promo. Then we had the full replay of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble. This was a good 20, 25 minutes of television time. Then we saw...
Probably longer. That seemed to, because with the commercials and everything, that seemed to last a long, long time.
Well, it's not only that, but there was an AJ Undertaker video package early in the show. Then they showed another one after the replay. Then they went to commercial and came back for another one. So we thought we saw 3 AJ Undertaker video packages in the span of 1 hour, which is probably too many. And then AJ came out and just did this bizarre promo. And he basically made fun of Undertaker, saying that he was wearing maternity pants and that his wife had control of everything. He showed a video of Undertaker and Michelle McCool in a pool with a tiger shooting a PSA. And
I don't know. That was a weird thing to make fun of.
Well, the whole point was, this guy used to be The Undertaker. Now he's Mark Calloway. He's got a Twitter. He's got an Instagram. Media. He's doing commercials, and he says, I don't want this guy. I want the dead man. And so I'm going to do a favor to all the fans that want to see the dead man. I'm going to challenge The Undertaker to a boneyard match. I've got a plot picked out for you. It's the same plot Michelle McCool picked out when she buried your career. And he challenged him to the match. Tom Phillips says, and I quote, "No idea what in the world that is," and we just go to commercial. So there you go.
My impression is that they're not going to tell us what it is.
You know, I am not feeling this at all, this program.
What, Undertaker and AJ?
It's just the whole thing from start to finish. I mean, we've got this storyline that Michelle is ruining his career, and it's like, what evidence do we have of this? Like, what are you talking about?
The problem is we haven't seen Michelle once.
No, we have no evidence of what AJ is talking about. It's like one of those Impact storylines where they all of a sudden make up some story out of thin air that they've never told you anything about it, but now it's like the story, and you're supposed to care. And, of course, we don't care because we haven't seen Michelle McCool in like a decade. It's just weird.
Well, she should show up in one of those battle royals, but I know what you mean. Yeah, we really haven't. But the thing is that, like, they have a match, and they did shoot the angles in the sense that he beat him in Saudi Arabia in, like, a minute.
Without taking his jacket
10
off.
10 seconds. Yeah. And then he cost him the match with Aleister Black. So there is something there. But he did both of those things as the dead man, and AJ's spinning the story about how he's Mark Calloway now. It's like at least the guy could show up in his biker gear or something. I guess he did last week, but it's just, this ain't clicking with me. I don't want him to show up in the biker gear. I don't think that's what people want this week.
Well, that's what he did last week.
Yeah.
So then we had the announcement of the Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. They're both facing separate teams tonight. So Charlie interviews Zelina. And this week, her question is, how are your clients preparing for their title opportunity at WrestleMania?
Last second of, it's like emergency preparation, given that we didn't even know we had the match until today.
So the whole point of all of this is Zelina has no answer. Charlie is smitten with Angel. Angel leaves and then comes back and winks at her, and now she can barely contain herself. I don't know if it's going anywhere or if it's going to be like 50% of their storylines. It's just we never hear about it again. Remember that ref that screwed Kevin Owens? What the hell ever happened with that?
That was a 1 week thing just to get out of a match.
Oh, okay. So like if we invested ourselves in it, we're just like out of luck.
It was a 1 week thing because they had a match that but for whatever reason they couldn't come up with the finish for. So somebody came up with the idea, probably Paul, to do a heel ref but it wasn't like they want to do a heel ref weekly on the show. So there was your answer.
Can you imagine if like some ref just was like a fucking blatant heel in UFC and screwed some guy out of a match and like we just never heard about it again? Dana never talked about it. It was just like it never happened.
Yeah. Wrestling's sometimes different than that, but I know what you're saying.
Have someone come on TV and say this ref's been fired. Something. Give me something.
You know what?
It takes 2 seconds.
They could have done that. You're right. They could have just said this ref's been fired. It was it was blatant and be over with it. But it's part of the Vince thing now is that like people don't remember anyway. So they'll come up with they'll come up with their own explanation for it if they need an explanation.
The problem is when you train people to not remember anything, then they don't remember things that are supposed to be important either.
Well, I mean, it's more. It's not so much not remembering; it's not caring. That's the issue.
Well, the same thing.
Well, people will remember unless they have bad memories. But the point is unfortunately, when you're being run by someone who's 74 years old, who probably who I know doesn't have a great memory, that's what he's thinking. That his audience also doesn't have great memories. So it's fine for him, where when he was younger, so much of this stuff, the young Vince McMahon, are you kidding me? 40-year-old Vince McMahon, 45-year-old Vince McMahon, he would be appalled.
He would fire himself.
Yeah, he would. He would be appalled at the lack of the continuity issues and the changes and things like, this guy, like I said before, in November, he had the WrestleMania card going. And here, we're 2 weeks out, and they're still trying to figure out what... And granted, some of the changes were thrust upon them. But even throwing that out, the fact is that, this still was like a card that was ripped up and changed. The whole SmackDown side... Is there a SmackDown match? I don't think there's one SmackDown match that didn't change multiple times. Well, I should say multiple times because Cena and Bray, like the Cena and Bray and Roman and Goldberg was all one change. So I mean, they changed once. But I mean, as far as a match that didn't change on the SmackDown side, let's see, the women's title match changed multiple times. What are the other matches? The men's tag match changed.
Yeah, whatever. Dolph and
Otis and Dolph. As far as I know, that one hasn't changed, although it hasn't been announced yet either. And we're running, but we do have 2 weeks. We have 2 SmackDowns left.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they've been building it all the way through, so it does, and it's not a major match that needed me. So there is one match. So there is one match, Dolph and Otis, that hasn't been changed multiple times. That's the one, yeah.
So we had the Andrade and Angel Garza versus Ricochet Cedric Alexander match, and they went a long time. Like you said, I think 20 minutes.
Just over 20, yeah.
Hot tags, 4-way spot. I mean, everybody worked hard. I mean, it was a good match.
Yeah.
And Ricochet made a comeback, dived to the outside. Cedric hit a Michinoku driver. Andrade kicked out. Andrade then hits a Judas effect out of nowhere. The ref counts 1, 2, holds up his count, counts 3. I was like, what?
It was awkward.
It was very awkward.
Yeah.
That's when I asked you if this show was live, because I was thinking, if this was a taped show and they didn't fix that, what the hell's going on?
It was live, yeah. The refs are taught that if the guy doesn't kick out, you just go with it. Now, obviously, that was not the planned finish, so the ref hesitated. But that's...
I don't know why, because it was a great finish 20 minutes in.
They were 20 minutes in. They didn't, I mean, I'm sure, put it this way, I'm sure that, they, obviously, Andrade and Garza were winning, and they were probably, what do you figure, 30, 45 seconds from the finish, whatever it was going to be?
Probably. Just count to 3.
Probably hammerlock DDT or that wing clipper thing, one or the other. But yeah, I mean, it's hard when you're a ref and you know the finish, and that wasn't the finish, and but when the guy doesn't.
We sure this isn't that same referee?
What, the bogus referee that we were talking about? It's a different guy for sure.
So anyway, that was the finish. So Street Profits hit the ring, attacked Andrade and Angel afterwards. That led to Street Profits versus Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. I don't think we've ever seen Brendan Vink on NXT even a single time.
No. The only time I've ever seen of Brendan Vink was when he was Elliot Sexton on streaming stuff from Australia.
Well, hey, you'll be pleased to know that Brendan Vink already has a shirt on WWE.com if you want to grab one after the performance that he put on with Shane Thorne.
I don't remember anything about the performance. I just remember he was tall.
Well, he was in there, and they got beat. Montez hit the big splash. This did not go 20 minutes.
Didn't he splash on Ford? I mean, on Thorne, though, right? Not on Vink.
I have no idea. But he hit a big splash.
Yeah.
Clips of Truth winning the 24/7 title. So much for Riddick Moss.
Man, that's what I was thinking. It's just like they put him over Ricochet, and now
guy didn't get over.
Well, he didn't get over in 2 weeks.
Gee, I wonder why he wouldn't get over in 2 weeks, chasing a title that has historically been only for geeks. How could he have not gotten over?
Plus, who's concerned about that stuff now anyway? But whatever. I mean, R-Truth is the comedic value champion, whatever. So I guess they just want it on him. But yeah, I mean, can't you let Riddick Moss at least get something if you're gonna beat Ricochet with him? At least let him get somewhere. And he's not over, obviously, and he's not a guy. The thing with him is like he didn't have a big run on NXT television, or anything like that. It's been years since he got any kind of an NXT TV push, and it really wasn't even much of one ever. So it's like he's going to come in, and I mean, he's not going to get over instantly. You got to either give him a chance, or I don't know what. I guess they just feel that they need bodies, but they got a million bodies. So
then we had the Charlie interview with Shayna, and I felt like this was written for me. Charlie has to ask 2 stupid questions, and Shayna gets more and more angry with each of these stupid questions. And finally she says, why don't you just ask the question that you want to ask? And that is, why, if I love to destroy everything, why do I want to win the Raw Women's title? The answer is I want that title because I love to destroy things. I'm going to take the title from Becky. I'm going to destroy her. It's not that complicated. I've shown everyone exactly who I am. The last time... Oh, then Charlie's about to ask another question, but then Becky shows up, waffles Shayna from behind with the chair, hits a second chair shot, leaves, they play her music. It was all right. It didn't do a lot for me. It was too overproduced.
That's fine. You know, it's like it would have been better with fans there. It was all right.
I don't think we need an angle every single week with these two. I think that we've got our storyline. Like, just announce the match, and away we go.
Well,
show a quick video package every week, and away we go.
We'll get promos the next 2 weeks or something. So,
Aleister Black.
Actually, we only got one more Raw till Mania. That next week, that's it.
Aleister Black, Leon Ruff, in a squash. He killed him.
Yeah.
And basically, it actually was funny. They're going to do a squash, so at least they did something creative. Aleister walks over and he sits down, and Ruff says, "What's he doing, ref? Tell him to do something." And the referee says, "It's not my match, it's yours." So Ruff goes, "All right, I'll kick this guy." And he goes to kick him. Aleister avoids it, hits his kick, wins. I liked it. It wasn't much, but it was there.
For a 1 minute match that was a squash match, I thought it was, it was cool. It was cool. It wasn't like he just hit the kick. I thought he was going to hit the kick in like 15 seconds, and it actually took him a minute, and the minute was kind of entertaining. So, yeah, it was cool.
So in the last half hour of this show or so, or the last 2 interviews, I thought were great.
Yep, agreed.
Kevin Owens comes out, and he calls out Seth, and Seth comes out by himself, and he cuts his promo. And this was like the best Seth Rollins promo in forever.
Oh, so long. I know.
He says, "Listen, this Performance Center is nice, but if you think that you got a home field advantage, you don't. I didn't train at the Performance Center because when I came here, it didn't even exist. This place was built on my blood, sweat, and tears."
I got a question for you. If you had a jiu-jitsu match with somebody, and it was in your gym or in somebody else's gym, would it really make any difference at all?
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't think.
I mean, how would it make a difference? I mean, it's like I could sort of see, like, if there was like a crowd situation, and you're like a football team and the crowd will help pick you up. But in an empty arena setting, I don't know how the location, maybe if you're going to brawl
maybe if you're doing a jiu-jitsu match and you've got some weird mats at the other place that are maybe a little stickier or something like that, but it's the same ring. No. It's in the middle of a building. I mean, there's no one in the building. What the hell difference does it make? It could be in any building in the world.
Well, anyway, they're just trying to do a storyline and Charlotte and Becky and not Becky, but Rhea Ripley are trying to do the same storyline as well. Home field advantage because one trained in this gym and the other one was on the main roster before this gym got really popular.
Anyway, the point is, he says, "I built this place. I came day after day to succeed, not for me, but for people like you. NXT doesn't exist without me. Performance Center doesn't exist. Every week."
Well, NXT would exist, but what the funny thing about all this when Seth Rollins and all these guys tell the stories about when they came in and everything, and they'd done that FCW documentary. He was doing the same thing. That's probably where they kind of probably got some of the ideas from. It's like, this is their own stuff, their own produced stuff. Okay, this is not like somebody from the outside producing it. And you know how they change reality in all their productions. But when I watch this, their own stuff, all I think of is, oh my God, these guys had like the worst, 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I guess it was probably like 8 years ago or so, when they had the worst judgment of talent in like the history of mankind. Because it's like Seth Rollins, who they tell everything you've done previously is useless. Everything you've learned before doesn't matter.
He says that in the promo.
He
says, "I walked into a dilapidated warehouse and I was told everything that I did before I came here did not matter. Up in smoke."
I mean, and that is what, their whole thing was like, how whatever you learned, unlearn it. And they even had, think about this. They used to have like a mentality there that they would rather get somebody who has never been trained, knows nothing. So therefore we don't have to undo all of their bad habits they've learned by actually like wrestling for 5 years. I mean, that was like the mentality there.
That's insanity.
I know. And
that creates a whole bunch of clones that all do the exact same matches, and they're all interchangeable. Which I guess if you're worried about people leaving is like a fine thing to do. But I mean, if you're interested in having better quality matches and more exciting programs and matches people can look forward to because they're different, it's going to make it very difficult when everyone's interchangeable.
But look at all the guys. Okay, so let's go back 8 years, okay? And all of those bodybuilders, those big dudes, the Jackson Andrews, and who was the big dude who was on the roster for about a month?
That could be any of 100 guys.
The one that looked like the giant Batista. Remember that guy?
Mason Ryan,
right. I mean, it's like we had all of these freaking freaks, and remember Big Rob Terry, who ended up going to Impact? I remember he was there for like a year, and then he went to Impact, and I just remember when he went to Impact, I'm going like, this guy looks like this, and WWE cut him. Can you imagine with their mentality of what they think a main eventer looks like, that they cut this tall freaking beast of a guy? And I mean, it's like, he must have been horrible. So anyway, but the thing is like, they just like fill that thing up with, and on the FCW thing, Seth Rollins comes in and it's just like, it was me, who could wrestle, and all these, big bodybuilder guys that didn't have a clue. And that was like what FCW was. And they turned down Eddie Edwards, and they turned down Davey Richards, and they turned down, now I know Ricochet, there's more to Ricochet than that, but they did turn down Ricochet. And God knows who else. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. We just heard that story last week, how they went in there in 2015 and, you're too short, I mean, I'm thinking like, why did if you've decided that no one under 6'2" is getting signed, why do you bring a guy who's 5'7" in the first place? I mean, why would you do this? I mean, how much more can he wow you? I mean, how much better can the guy be? I mean, Johnny Gargano at that point, 2015, he was already a great wrestler. He could already promo. It's like, so he goes in there and does this great job. And, I mean, they turned down Roderick Strong at one point. So whatever. I mean, it's just weird. It's weird because they're now in their own storylines, essentially telling you, like before it'd be one thing we all knew. I mean, look, we all knew all of this anyway, but they didn't like brag about it, or not, brag about's not the right word, but they didn't actually do storylines where they're actually telling you about this. And now in their documentaries and storylines, they're actually going out there and telling you that like, yeah, these guys came in and they had tryouts and they were turned down because they weren't 6'2" or 6'9" or whatever they said. And, they were all disappointed. We worked our whole lives and then we were told we weren't good enough. And it's like they overcame it, but it's like they didn't overcome it by working harder. They overcame it because finally somebody, whether it was Seth Rollins, because when he started in this promo, he's going in that direction. And, there is something to the idea. I mean, I'll tell you a story. So, you can look the timeline up. So this is the FCW days, and Dusty was there, and it's like a day or two after Randy Savage died. So, I was doing a story for Yahoo on Randy Savage, and WWE gave me Steamboat and Dusty to talk to. Steamboat obviously, and Dusty worked the program with Randy Savage. So, we talked, and in the conversation with Dusty, we ended up talking about, everything under the sun. And one of the subjects was like Seth Rollins. And one of what I remember Dusty saying was how like, and Seth even actually kind of in some documentaries has actually kind of talked about this of like, he was just like, basically he said like Seth Rollins is the most talented guy there in FCW. And he was also saying that like, and it wasn't like in a negative way about Seth and more of a way how Seth was being viewed. Like, it wasn't like he thought it was bad, but it was, basis on, like, Seth Rollins, he's probably the most talented guy there. And, but I don't know if he's going to make it because he's got this, like, attitude, like, he knows and he does, but they don't want him to, it was more negative on them than him. It was a little negative on him too, though. But the whole idea of, like, because Seth Rollins has this idea of how he wants to wrestle, and it doesn't jive with how they want him to wrestle, that he may not make it. He was basically telling me that Seth's the most talented guy here, but I'm not sure he's ever going to make it. I mean, that was the gist of the conversation. And, it's like one of those things I think of, it's like, for whatever you want to say, good or bad about Seth Rollins, I mean, he's one of the 2 or 3 or 4 most talented guys on the roster right now. And the idea that, like, you erase him, that this guy's not, I mean, whatever it is, if you think he's not good enough to be world champion or whatever, that's one thing. If you think his social media game is bad, if you think some of the things he says are stupid, that's all well and good. But, he can't miss talent. I mean, he should be a main event guy. So, anyway, that's my Seth Rollins speech.
Well, anyway, he says the second question he's got is more important. Why you picked WrestleMania of all these places to make an example out of me? My track record: won the Intercontinental title, Universal title, beat Lesnar, beat Triple H, cash in Money in the Bank. More moments than I can count. Kevin, your track record is failure, 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 failure. And last year, you weren't even good enough to be on the show.
Well, that's okay. Do you remember last year? Wasn't Kevin Owens going to be in like a match with Daniel Bryan in one of the main events, and Kofi got hot, so they put Kofi in the spot instead. So it wasn't like he wasn't good enough, because he was actually planned to be in one of the main events. But I mean, it's good for the story. It's a story that they're telling, that he wasn't on the card. So yeah.
It says WrestleMania is never my worst day. Under pressure, I am a god. You don't stand a chance. Great promo by Seth.
Yeah, it was really good. He's a god. So who's more of a god, him or Sammy Guevara?
Well, Sammy Guevara is technically a Spanish god, and
so is he like an American god?
Well, it's not in his. He's a Messiah.
Okay,
I believe God outranks the Messiah.
Okay, but what's the difference between like a Spanish, like who's okay? So a Spanish god outranks a Messiah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not.
No. Yes. Spanish God would outrank a Messiah.
Okay. We need like flow charts when it comes to these like statuses of like what outranks. Now, what about a dead man? A dead man seems to outrank everyone.
No, he seems to be at the bottom of the list.
But he's the one protected the most. He's out there in his 50s.
But when he dies, he goes to meet the Messiah or the God. So he's lower on the totem pole.
Okay. Where's Randy Orton?
Dude, he's way up there. We'll get to him in a second. Okay. They show Asuka beating Charlotte at WrestleMania. Then Charlie interviews Charlotte, and Charlotte's still going on about how Rhea wants to be her. And that was that. Then Randy Orton comes out. And my God, does this guy do a promo.
One of the best of his career, I thought.
This guy, over the last 3 months, is like, when it comes time for that Hall of Fame vote, man, oh man.
I think Randy Orton's a Hall of Famer.
Dude, I wasn't sure last year. It's changed.
Yeah.
This promo this guy cuts.
Okay, but I'm still not sure that I've been studying the last 10 years, the last couple days, and I'm not sure that Randy Orton belongs in front of Ishii. I'm really...
That's another argument entirely. I'm talking about Randy right now.
Yeah, because that Ishii record, when I look at all the stuff that this guy's done, it's like, I know he never won the IWGP title, and he's never even won the Intercontinental and all that, but my God, that guy is like one of the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, there should be... Anyway.
So ahead. Randy says, I am here to respond to this challenge, but I got to get some stuff off my chest. I lied to Beth. You are not a junkie for the roar of the crowd. You're a junkie for yourself. Adam Copeland is a junkie for Edge. Last week you said I never had to pay my dues to earn my opportunity. I was handed an opportunity because of who I was. That is all true, but just because I was handed an opportunity doesn't guarantee a Hall of Fame career. I was called up. I won the Intercontinental title a year later. After that, I was the youngest world heavyweight champion in history. Was that handed to me?
He wasn't. He absolutely was not.
Well, he is in WWE's history.
I mean, Luthez, Dano O'Mahony.
They're not counting those guys. This is WWE
How can you not count Luthez? I mean,
how
Luthez
can you
is
not do a lot of things they do? This is their history, Dave. We're not arguing this one.
I know, but I mean, it's like, they always call him like the youngest world champion. You know, the reason that he got it young, one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, but it was one of the reasons, was because they were so mad at frickin' Brock Lesnar, who they used to call the youngest world champion in history, and how Brock Lesnar burned them. So they were going to, show him. But, I mean, either way, Luthez was 21 years old, so Luthez was the youngest. Or Dano O'Mahony, I'd have to look up who was first, but they were both younger than him, and both bigger stars than him, too.
He said Mick Foley deserved the credit that he passed the torch to us. Maybe he passed it to you, but you know what he did to me? He tossed me into thumbtacks, and so I spat in his face, and I beat him, and I took the torch. I went from being a third-generation prospect to the 3 most deadly letters in sports entertainment. This wasn't handed to me. Happened because I had one trait that you said I didn't have, and that's grit. He says, maybe grit means something different to both of us. To me, it doesn't mean sitting on your couch for 9 years and saying, what if? Grit is having longevity in a business that seldom has any. I'm the only constant in the WWE locker room. I don't see anybody there who has done as much as I have. Nobody has as much grit as me, including you. You talk about me being entitled. You're the ultimate opportunist. You would have done the exact same thing. You're telling me you would have said no to evolution? Everything that I've said is true. I love you. I love your family. I love your daughters. That's why I sent their father back home. You challenged me to this last man standing match at WrestleMania. I'm going to write the last chapter, and I'm going to end it. I accept. He hits his cue 10 seconds before the show goes off the air live. This guy's the greatest.
He's not the greatest, but he had a great promo.
Damn, he was great.
He did a great promo tonight, though, yeah.
Unbelievable. So, yeah. This is a WrestleMania program. This is like the only one that I feel this is a WrestleMania program. We got something here.
Yeah. Brock and Drew is okay. Shayna and Becky Lynch. You know what? Shayna and Becky Lynch is good. It's not perfect, but it's been good. The rest, no. I would say when you go up and down that card.
Listen, Shayna and Becky Lynch is good, and Brock and Drew they're both very good. But the reality is, like, if you told me those were headlining a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble, great. But this Edge Orton match, this feels like it's headlining WrestleMania.
Well, it's that's going to be third, fourth from the top.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, it will be. Maybe we should headline one of the nights.
Well, I'm figuring it's Roman Reigns and Bill Goldberg headlining one show, and Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre headlining the other.
Well, there you go.
And then probably splitting Undertaker and Edge and Orton. I don't know. And then probably, Bayley on one and Becky Lynch on the other. But, I mean, I guess they could make like one night Raw and one night SmackDown. That actually would make sort of sense in a way. But have they said like what is on what night?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, they're even doing promos about people saying, I don't care what night I wrestle on.
That means they probably haven't fully decided. I'll ask about that tomorrow. I'll see if anyone's around. They're going to be filming 1 million shows tomorrow, so who knows? I probably won't hear from anyone until Friday. And then
don't have high hopes for WrestleMania, 2 nights of empty arena. But I sure did like this Raw show. Mostly because the promos were so great.
Yeah, the promos were fantastic. I mean, it's a 3-hour show. It's a go-home show, and everyone hit their money promo. I mean, Edge's promo was great. Paul Heyman's promo was great. Undertaker's promo was really good. Kevin Owens' promo was really good. And that was pretty, and Lynch wasn't so much a promo, but an angle. But, it was a good promo, too. I mean, it was actually a very good promo, too. So, yeah, the promos were way above the usual, the usual.
I got to say that,
promos.
like, as bad as this has been for everybody and for wrestling and for WWE, if there's one positive to come out of this, and that is totally redoing the way that they do promos, we didn't have one backstage interview person on this show. They just let everybody take the mic and look in the camera and cut a promo. Some of them were backstage. Some of them were in an empty ring. None of them had fans. None of them needed fans. Like, Obviously, they're still going to do promos in front of the fans, but this proves to you that you can just put a guy backstage with a mic or a girl and just let him talk.
I think that's been proven a long time ago. It's just a question of changing, because you got to remember.
Well, I know it's been proven, but like now that they've done it, it's like they can't. I mean, they can go back. They probably will.
They probably will.
But I mean, it's just hit me in the face. God, this is so much better. Yeah, like somebody's got to see this.
Okay, but look at the last 6 months of AEW and the promos. Okay, and granted, they're in front of fans in most cases, but the deal is that they're unscripted, and because of that, the promos are way better.
Yes.
So you would think
no, there's a big difference here because WWE is not going to take anything from AEW. Where people are going to say, "Oh, well, they copied AEW. Oh, they took an idea from AEW."
Well, they did the camera thing.
They did do the camera thing, but like the fact that they did this on their show because of something that happened to them, and this is what they had to do. Now they can say, "Hey, we did it this way, and it's better, so we can continue doing it." It doesn't have to be hey, we learned something from AEW. They can say, hey, we learned something from ourselves when we had to run a show with a skeleton crew and no interviewers, and it ended up being way better.
True. Let's see if they learn. I guess for the next couple months, they can do it anyway. Because what's the point?
Great.
Yeah.
It was even like show up with this Undertaker promo.
Okay, but no, there's a problem after this though, because let's look at we get past WrestleMania. Okay. Are we going to do monthly empty arena pay-per-views? Because, WrestleMania may be able to get away with it, but after that, ain't going to fly at all. I mean, people aren't going to be interested. And to do but the problem with pro wrestling is that, pro wrestling without a destination, it misses everything. It's like that's the key part. Just pro wrestling in a vacuum. Let's watch a 60-minute show. Pro wrestling's got to be a soap opera, and you've got to be building to a big card at some point, whether it's in 3 weeks, whether it's every week, whether it's once a month, whether it's once every 2 months, whatever. But you have to have that destination, or pro wrestling loses, it just loses its appeal. That it misses something. So if they're going to continue TVs. To do these promos, the key to these promos is that, again, it doesn't have to be that we got shows on Saturday and Sunday. These promos could be for matches in 3 weeks. And you can do these promos every single week, but you're going to have matches. The key is we have all these matches, and if they're screwing around like they did for WrestleMania, where they're changing the card every week, you can't very well do direct promos when you don't know what your card is. Luckily, we're finally there, and we actually have I think that we actually have the entire card, even though the card that was advertised on the show, a couple of the matches are including one of the main events, are not happening as was advertised last night, but they didn't do any promos for those matches. That, I guess, will be done on Friday night, or we're done for Friday night, I should say.
Well, the show opened up with an Undertaker promo, and this was like the best Undertaker promo I've seen in years. He calls AJ Allen Jones because they're talking real now.
Yeah, that's a whole, Paul Heyman's done that for 25 years. The idea that, and then you could even see it. You could even see it in his promo. Paul Heyman's mentality is that for the big angle and for the big show, you can't do this every week because it gets annoying and everything. You go with the idea that deep down, we all know that it's a show, but there's some reality to this. So therefore, you use people's real names. Therefore, you tell real stories, which is what everybody did. And that's the whole basis of what the nature of the promos. Kevin Owens' promo was like that. These, using the name Alan Jones and Mark Calloway. These are just ideas that Heyman's done, and Heyman, in of itself, talking about how this is the go home promo in the final segment of the go home Raw before WrestleMania. It happens once a year, And, we do these promos to embellish and exaggerate, and basically, but, now I'm telling the truth type of a thing. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think that, one of the aspects of these promos being different and good is that, what do I call it? Mentality, which nobody else would do there. I'm pretty darn sure you're not going to see that on SmackDown on Friday. And I don't think Vince would ever do it on his own, but, he's giving Paul, I'm not saying free reign because nobody gets free reign, but he's giving him some reign. And I think these promos are are showing that.
So there's one thing I didn't like about it, and he says, if there was some truth to what you're saying, you said 10 to 15 years ago you wouldn't have tried me.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
But
I'm going to agree with you. Go ahead.
You were content being a big fish in a small pond because back then you knew you didn't have what it took to hang with guys like Rock and Austin and Hunter and Kurt and Angle and Edge and Shawn Michaels. You waited until they were all gone.
Do you know what the message that said?
Yeah, every single guy in the locker room today is a geek.
Yeah, it's like we got a bunch of second raters, and all the stars were the guys from 2003.
Yes, I was appalled by that line.
I thought it was so stupid because that's the exact last thing that you want to say, and also.
And unfortunately, it's what a lot of fans believe. Those guys were the real stars.
That's why it's so bad. Well,
yes.
Duh. I mean, that's why you got Bill Goldberg in the main event at WrestleMania this year instead of Bray Wyatt, because Vince McMahon recognized that Bill Goldberg from 22 years ago, is more over than Bray Wyatt, who's been pushed and pushed and pushed on TV every single week, given all kinds of promo time and a unique character, and destroyed everyone in his path. And when it came to the big show, Bill Goldberg was more over. So the last thing you want to do is feed into that, and that's what they did. The other thing on this that I thought there was no need for is when they did the Tombstone thing. They really didn't need to do the thing there because they basically told everyone that AJ is an old guy too. And, AJ is 42 or 43. I forget when his birthday is, but, he was born in 77. So probably 42. But, it's like, you don't need to tell people that. I mean, they can look it up and it's not a secret and you don't have to run from it, but I wouldn't be bragging about it either, or saying up there because people are looking and go, oh my God, because AJ doesn't work 42 and he doesn't really look 42, so it's the same thing that they did kind of with Cena, where you tell people that he's, on his last legs and he's, past his prime and everything like that. And it's like, you don't tell people that, it's like when they, you want them to think it's not the case. You don't be advertising it, but whatever. Okay.
So he says that you crossed the line when you mentioned my wife. You're just jealous because she did the Styles Clash better than you did, and she got it over. You're going to pay the price in the boneyard.
I'll tell you what. I don't know about that line.
Of course,
either.
it's ridiculous.
I know.
He says, who better to make you famous at WrestleMania than The Undertaker? I'm going to make you famous and bring those two ass clowns, Gallows and Anderson, with you. You'll feel the wrath of the unholy trinity. You're going to feel the pain, get hurt, suffer, and you will rest in peace. It's an excellent promo by The Undertaker.
Yeah, but we're going to get a freaking match in a cemetery.
Well, yeah, of course we are. We're going to get a lot of weird things at this WrestleMania. We had Becky arriving in her wacky semi-truck, and then she comes out on the stage and basically introduces us to the three-way from this year's WrestleMania.
That lasted forever.
They replay this entire match with commercial breaks, and when it's over, she cuts a promo and says, Shayna, I know what your demon is, and that is that you want to do the one thing that Ronda Rousey could not do. For once, if you beat me, you will steal Ronda's spotlight instead of the other way around. If you lose, you're just back in Ronda's shadow again. And Shayna shows up, she jumps Becky, she chokes her, she slams her into the announce table, helicopters her into the side of it, and then poses with the belt. That's a good segment.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any of the match. I saw it once. I don't need to see it again.
It wasn't that great.
I remember. I was there.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. It was all right. Wasn't what it should have been, for sure. Finish wasn't what it should have been for sure. And the match wasn't what it. Yeah. I mean, and it had.
I don't know why hasn't Shayna done the promo? If we can bring some reality into this, Shayna should do the promo and just say, "You never beat Ronda. Her shoulders weren't down, right?"
She could. They didn't want to go in that direction for whatever reason.
Because we didn't just see it with our own two eyes on Raw.
She didn't cut a promo tonight.
Well, next week.
Yeah.
I guess there is no next week.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to say that.
You never beat Ronda, and you'll never beat me.
Yeah. I mean, look, we could have done it, sure, especially after showing that match. But I don't think that they want that message out. Why that finish was, I'm still wondering why that finish was that finish, and I know that finish was changed. And I don't know who changed it or why, but I know it was changed. So there you go.
We have Aleister Black versus Jason Cade, and Aleister Black kills him immediately. Kick looked awesome. Selena comes out. Says,
yeah. I think that Aleister Black does very well in like 45-second empty arena matches because he's the sitting there takes up a couple seconds. And that thing where the guy grabs your leg and then you throw two kicks, and the sound is really good with no fans. It's like they've done a good job with him. I mean, if it was like a longer match, it probably wouldn't be so good, but he's intriguing enough. And I actually think that there's very few people I think this for, but I think the empty arena stuff works for him.
Selena comes out, says Andrade suffered a serious rib injury, medically unable to compete. She has access to the hottest young talent here in WWE. And just like she brought in Angel Garza, she is bringing in Austin Theory, quote, the hottest free agent, no more.
So the thing is like, didn't Austin Theory lose almost every match on NXT television?
He lost the one to Prince Pretty on Wednesday.
He lost to him. He lost, who was the other one? Did he lose to Swerve or did he beat Swerve? I know he lost the first one because he lost to Ciampa. But yeah, it doesn't matter, I suppose. I thought the 6-man tag was a good match, though.
It was Seth Theory and Angel Garza versus Street Profits and Kevin Owens. And the most notable thing about this match is Owens gets his hot tag and he's running wild. And it breaks down into a 4-way, 6-way. And Montez Ford is going for a dive to the outside. And he hits the ropes to start running. And Seth tries to grab his foot. But the dude just keeps running. And then he dives. He does this big flip dive. And he
landed right on the ramp.
Crashes like a meteorite on the ramp. There's this horrendous noise.
That sound.
It looked like he was dead. And Austin Theory takes a bump. So Austin Theory came nowhere near catching this guy. This guy just crashed and burned right on his tailbone. And I think that maybe Austin Theory was supposed to catch him and was out of position because if he was just supposed to dodge out of the way, he would have just dodged out of the way. Instead, he took a bump. So
I could ask about that.
I don't know what the hell happened here, but it was brutal. And then
I thought he was supposed to miss because he missed by so much. That's why I thought.
Well, I mean, he missed by a lot, but I mean, Theory was pretty close. And then Theory just as soon as the guy crashed, he took a flat back bump. It was the weirdest thing. And so anyway, Owens pinned Angel with the stunner, and then immediately afterwards, Seth hit him with the curb stomp, laid him out. And hopefully Montez is all right after that. That was brutal.
Yeah.
So then Kevin's in the ring cutting a promo. This is another excellent promo. And he says, from the moment you stepped foot in that warehouse, you were a nightmare to deal with. He basically recaps everything we talked about on Observer Radio last Monday after Seth's promo. And he says, last few months, you've done an outstanding job proving everybody right when they said you were an arrogant dipshit. So I guess WWE is getting the okay to do one shit per hour as well, like AEW has. And he says...
Can't be handicapped in the swearing department.
No. He says, you said that I came into WrestleMania and I was a disappointment, you were a god. Those words did sting. But you got to think about what I've done. IC champion, US champion, Universal champion, before you won it, by the way. And yes, I didn't do this all on my own, but guess what? You did not do everything on your own either. You had backup. You had an underhanded way every single time you won. And the only thing that you said that made sense was that nothing you did before WWE mattered. On Sunday, your past doesn't matter, my past doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is it's you and me finally one-on-one, and I'm going to show you that you're not the Messiah or the God. When I beat you in the middle of the ring, I take my first WrestleMania moment from you. Saturday, I'll burn it down. Promo's awesome.
So there was a lot of legitimacy as far as like the Seth Rollins in Florida. And, one of the things is that when he got there, I mean, like, he was so much better than everybody else there and so much more experienced. And he had his way of doing things. And they wanted him to do things their way. And it was a constant fight. And, I'm sure that he didn't like being treated like a beginner. And the mentality in those days was, you got to do things. There's only one way that's the right way. And he was not doing it that way, even though he was going out there and having better matches than anybody else in FCW. And he was the most talented guy in FCW. It was, I remember, that whole thing, from whether it was from Dusty and from other people as well, there was it's funny because he's become one of the biggest stars on the main roster. But, if the Shield idea didn't come up, and because when the Shield idea came, it was kind of CM Punk's idea of 3 guys to back him up. And, it was going to be Moxley, Dean Ambrose, who, was very well liked and thought to be, a guy who was going to be on the main roster and be a big star right away. I mean, that had been talked about already. He wanted, Cash Sono, but they wanted Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns was their handpicked future superstar because he had a great look. And then Rollins came because, they were doing a 3-man team and Rollins was the best worker at the time in FCW. So that's how he got in. But if it was not for the Shield idea, and it was just as a single, he probably would have at some point gotten in, and because he's that talented, he probably would have made it, but it's not a lock because there was a lot of people. Even like, I remember when the Shield came up and he was one of the 3 guys, I just, I had been hearing that, not that they were, there was so much negativity towards him because it was like, that feeling of that he thought he knew it all and he was doing it his way. And now, when he wrestles, he does wrestle his way, more than their way, but it works. But, back then it was just like, those are all bad habits and, bad style and whatever. So, that's what the whole promo was. It's essentially, it's like, it's the idea of you're using something legit, you're kind of embellishing it a little bit to tell a story, but the story's real as opposed to some fantasy story about somebody being a space alien or something.
So then we had the Edge promo, which was also awesome. He says,
I think this promo was really strong.
Yeah, this was like a guy who was a great wrestling promo and then became an actor and then came back and was even better than ever cutting promos because of it.
Yeah.
He says, Randy said I was a junkie for myself. He's probably right, but it's not an ego thing. I just love listening to the way the crowd explodes. I was one of them. We're all a junkie for this. I was there for Hogan Warrior. If you're not a junkie for this, you're taking up space, you're in my way. We got different definitions of grit. Grit to you is being handpicked by evolution, resting on your family's name, being okay with being okay. He says, for you, okay is better than most. It's a Hall of Fame career, but to me, grit is a type of man who will pull a man out of a hole who probably doesn't deserve it, refuse to be an evolution because you don't want to be somebody's lackey, forging your own Hall of Fame career, thinking for 9 years how to get back here and end this on your terms. You are jealous of me. You're jealous because when I'm around, I make you better. I motivate you. I light a fire under you, and everybody can see it except you. This is the best you've ever been. Last time you scratched being this good was 9 years ago. And that scares you. Your voices in your head can't handle these feelings. You almost had me believing the Royal Rumble was enough, but then you put your hands on my wife, utter the names of my little girls, you pull me back in, you accepted a last man standing match with me. A man who will dive face first into a flaming table just to grab the torch that you took for granted. He says, this time you dug yourself into a hole. I'm not going to pull you back out. I'm going to push you so far in you will never get back out. His promo was the greatest. It was awesome.
Excellent promo. Yeah. He also said that, like, how did he phrase it? That Randy's career had occasional brilliance, but most of the time kind of like coasting through.
Yeah.
Which is, pretty much the deal. I mean, everyone knows Randy's super talented, and every now and then he shows it, but, it's not like he shows it every single night by any means, or even often. But sometimes, look, his promo work this year has been, for this feud. Both guys' promo work in this feud has been great. In fact, really, this has been the easily the best built match on the show.
Oh, you kidding me? It's been the best built match in years.
Yeah.
We have Asuka versus Caden Carter. Asuka kills her quickly, even though Caden's trying to win a spot in the NXT ladder match at TakeOver. And then she cuts a crazy promo, one before the match and then one afterwards on the headsets.
So one of the reasons, okay, if you notice, even though that the WrestleMania match is a tag match, and I guess Natalya and Beth Phoenix are not in the match. They decided to go with a straight tag rather than the three-way. But the reason Kairi Sane has been in Japan, she got married. She got married, right? A couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah, she got married, and then I don't know if she had to be quarantined or something, but she was unavailable for most of these tapings. So she was okay for WrestleMania, but she wasn't available until like the very end. So that's why this whole promotional last couple of weeks has been all Asuka, no Kairi Sane.
And then finally we had a rundown of the WrestleMania card, which I'm going to take you through right now. And they did not bother to mention what matches were going to be taking place on what day.
The only thing they announced, Becky Lynch has said that she's on Saturday.
Somebody else said Saturday in their
and
promo.
I think Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins is on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, my gut is that we won't know anything. There's a chance.
Dude, I realize I'm naive, but if you're selling this on pay-per-view for $30 a day to actual people
35.
who are paying $35,
$35,
how do you not tell them what's on each show? Is it a package deal?
No, it's an each night
Then
deal.
if it's an individual day, how in God's name? You think I'm going to buy a pay-per-view not knowing what's on the show? That's WCW.
I know. And here's the other one, too. What's also weird? Okay, two things are really weird. They are pushing really hard the pay-per-view aspect, which they never push. It's always about the network. And they always would. And also, the other thing is, they never say, even though, first month free, that's every year at WrestleMania. First month free, you can see WrestleMania free. They never said that once. It was all about contact your, cable or satellite provider, and you can get it on the network, which is weird because, like on the network, it's $9.95 for two shows. And on pay-per-view, it's, depending on where you are, it's either $29.99 or $34.99 or $34.95 for each show. There were other different numbers that were out there, but that's because the cable companies did it on their own and then kind of got told when their ridiculous pricing was ridiculous. So now it's pretty uniform again, but and there will be some people who will buy it. I think last year's WrestleMania had 65,000 plus buys on pay-per-view. This year will not do close to that, I don't believe, for a number of reasons. But they're pushing it so hard on pay-per-view, which they never do. So I thought, that's a different strategy. I mean, when that many years ago, when they would insult you and call you a fool if you wanted to buy it on pay-per-view.
Times change. So anyway, the WrestleMania card, we now have 16 matches.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair.
We should actually, I want to go through. So Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. So in my mind, Rhea Ripley should win this match. I cannot fathom another result. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, because obviously Charlotte Flair is a main star and Rhea Ripley is not. But when I look at this and the build and everything like this, and the fact that it's for the NXT title, I just think that Charlotte Flair doesn't need to win. And it'd be good for Rhea Ripley to win.
Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre.
Okay, so if the idea is to go with Drew McIntyre as champion, okay, so my feeling is on this card that you want to put as many baby faces over as you can, just because of the times we live in, that you just want a happy show. I think that, for all the given the criticism of the show, given the fact that we got a couple of people who are advertised that aren't going to be there, including Roman Reigns, which, at this point it's ridiculous, even though Triple H all but said on SportsCenter that he wasn't going to be there, but wouldn't say it. Roman Reigns himself said that he didn't do this. He didn't, he's not there. He made the decision, and was kind of mad about the reaction a lot of people had. But you can't be, but he was. So I think that it's going to be lots of baby faces going over. I would not, if this is supposed to be, if you want to make Drew McIntyre into this big star, I would do a no contest, bring it back, and when there's fans, let Drew McIntyre win, because there's no rush. I just feel that him winning with no crowd reaction, even though it's over Brock Lesnar, no matter how good the match is, it ain't going to be as good a moment as in front of fans. But my feeling is if they are going to put him over, and I think there's a real good chance of that, they'll probably do it here. Because it was very interesting when Paul Heyman made his prediction and spoiler thing at the end. He said that, we'll talk about this later, but he basically said that he never said that Brock Lesnar was going to win at WrestleMania. He never said it once. He only said that Brock Lesnar was going to be in the Go Home segment of the Go Home Raw a year from now, which is very different, from saying that he's, that when it's the night's over, he's going to still be champion.
We've got Goldberg, Roman Reigns. Actually, we don't have Goldberg, Roman Reigns. Goldberg and Braun Strowman.
Yeah. So here it's a couple of, this is a complicated one. Obviously, their idea is for Roman Reigns to be champion at some point, and obviously this match is not happening now. I think Bill Goldberg should beat Braun Strowman, and since they're both baby faces, it's not like you're, it's not like that you're going to have, a heel win. So I would have Bill Goldberg win, and then have him face Roman Reigns. The problem is that when is, what's the word I'm looking for? When is it healthy for Roman Reigns to be out there again? And that's a really good question. Like we talked about, it's like even, it's not like, okay, Roman Reigns can't do WrestleMania because we've got this thing, but it's, until the virus is gone, Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan are significant risks to be out there. And, the doctors, I don't know with Daniel Bryan. His wife was concerned, but she was also torn. He did the show. I don't know the extent of his illnesses. He had asthma when he was a kid. He's got some, it's a risk. It's a risk for him, maybe bigger than it should be. But Roman, obviously, it's much bigger. And because of that, I don't know how soon that he would be able to wrestle again smartly. And so that kind of it's kind of a weird situation if you're going to build and wait for him. So I don't know, but I would not put it on Strowman. I think that they might, just because of the idea that we've been advertising this match. So therefore, since we're cheating you, one of the mentalities that you do when you're a promoter is that when there's a no-show in the main event or a championship match, you put the other guy over so that people will at least feel, hey, we got to see a title change, even if we didn't get to see the match we paid for. So that's why I think that there's a problem that Strowman's got a good shot. Plus, Bill is so expensive, and they probably don't need, to pay Bill that kind of money for another show. But I don't know. Strowman's cold, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't put him over, but I think there's a good chance they will.
All right, Becky and Shayna.
I think Shayna has to win, just because Becky's run through everyone. There's nobody else. Shayna's fresh. I think Becky can beat Shayna later, but I think if it was me, Shayna wins this match.
We've got the John Cena Fiend Bray Wyatt Funhouse match.
I mean, Bray Wyatt should win. He's regular. John can lose. It's no big deal. It's not like he's, John's role should be to put Bray Wyatt over right now.
We've got the 5-way now. Bayley, Lacey, Naomi, Sasha, and Tamina for the SmackDown Women's title.
Yeah, anyone can win. I could see Bayley. I could see Sasha real easy. Lacey maybe. Tamina no. And was there Naomi? Possible. The idea of this, I think, is to kick off Bayley and Sasha, because they wanted Bayley and Sasha to do this, and their argument was it's too soon, which it is. So let's start the feud rather than climax the feud before we start it. So in theory, that means that they're going to have at least some sort of start of the feud, and it's been kind of hinted a little bit on the interviews as well.
We've got the Undertaker facing AJ Styles in a Boneyard match.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, Undertaker's probably going to win. It's Undertaker and WrestleMania, and the only guys who are going to beat him are Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar anyway, so that's probably what's going to happen. But, normal line of thinking, AJ's around, Undertaker's pretty much a couple matches from retirement. You could have AJ win, but I don't think they will. Especially since it's a Boneyard match, I think that also makes it more likely. Undertaker's almost for sure going to win, I think.
Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that one can go either way. I don't know that it honestly, it doesn't matter. I think that they're going to keep going with their program with each other anyway. So if they keep going, then you sort of say, well, Seth wins by cheating. But it's to me, it should be a babyface show. So that would lead to Kevin Owens.
We've got Miz. Actually, Miz is out. So it's John Morrison versus one of the New Day in a ladder match.
One of the Usos.
One of the Usos, I'm sorry.
And there might be one of
Wait a second. It's a ladder match? So is it for the tag titles?
I don't know.
What else is going to hang from the ladder?
Probably the tag titles in a singles match.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. Probably is, actually. I haven't been told, but, I guess. Anyone can win. It doesn't really matter. It's the SmackDown tag team titles. It's, I guess for WrestleMania moment, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it just doesn't matter. Anyone can win, and I don't have any strong feelings in any direction on what should happen. You could have any of those guys. I think so. If there is, I was told it's one of the Usos against Morrison. Now it could be, if it's a ladder match, the third guy should be Kofi, because he's a better ladder match wrestler than Big E. And actually, with Morrison and Kofi and one of the Usos, this is probably going to be a really good match. Probably be a lot of stunts and everything like that. So, I could see putting Kofi over, actually, but we'll see.
Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza, Raw Tag Team titles.
Yeah, I would have the Street Profits retain, because Austin Theory and and Angel Garza is just a thrown together team. And they were saying Austin Theory of NXT, but then Zelina Vega said he's no longer a free agent, so I don't know. And they may not even know what the hell's going on with him long term, because obviously he's thrown in because Andrade's got an injury. It's not like the plan was to bring this guy up this soon. So, I would say Street Profits should win.
So is Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black taking place?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay. Aleister Black, Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, Aleister Black's going to win that. Should win that.
We've got the Elias King Corbin match.
Who cares?
Edge, Randy Orton, last man standing.
Edge has to win, right?
I would think so.
I think Edge has to win with the way this feud's been going, yeah.
Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan, Intercontinental title.
Daniel Bryan should win.
Dude, as long as there's coronavirus, Sami Zayn needs to win this match.
I
don't want to bring Daniel Bryan back on the road for a while.
Well, you know, me and you may look out for these guys a lot more than their medical team does.
Or themselves.
Well, the guys aren't going. Well, although Roman Reigns did make the call. Look, the guys aren't going. You know, like when you're at this level, you know, although Daniel Bryan, you know, I mean, he's got a daughter, he's got a pregnant wife, and yeah, he probably shouldn't be. No, I mean, I shouldn't even say. Well, again, I don't know the whole medical thing. I'm not a doctor when it comes to this one. I haven't asked anyone who, you know, specifically on this, but it's probably not a good idea. I mean, I know that his wife, like I said, his wife was concerned about it. And if she's concerned enough to go on the air and talk about it, then she's being pretty torn. And her being torn, given knowing how much he loves wrestling and how big WrestleMania is, I find that to be significant. But I think he's going to win.
We've got the Kabuki Warriors facing Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, SmackDown Women's titles.
Yeah, go either way, and it doesn't really matter. The fact that it's WrestleMania and it's going to be a lot of baby faces winning, I would think that, you know, would favor Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Plus, they haven't really done a lot with them of late, and Alexa Bliss is a company favorite. That said, you know, obviously the Kabuki Warriors are a much better team, and you know, but you know, all reigns have to come to an end. So, you know, and WrestleMania is a good place for like those secondary championships to change.
And finally, Otis and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be some sort of gimmick involving Mandy Rose, so it's wherever they want to go. I could see like Mandy screwing Otis, Mandy screwing Dolph, you know, and going with Otis. I mean, wherever they want to take the story next, I think is kind of like determines who wins. But it's going to be Mandy involved in the finish. Got to be.
So going back to Raw here very quickly, the Paul Heyman promo at the end of the show, he, as noted, said, we're here on the Go Home show and the Go Home segment, and Brock Lesnar's here like he always is. Talks about how special Drew McIntyre is, as compared to the guy on the street, the dumbass in the gym who thinks he can do this. Even the guys in the locker room today. Drew is special. But The Rock was special. Brock beat him. Hogan was special. Brock beat him. Randy Couture, Shane Carwin, John Cena, Undertaker, all special. Legends, Hall of Famers. Brock crushed every single one of them. It's got a great finish, the Claymore kick, but the rock bottom was a great finish, leg drop of doom. Brock beat all of these men. Now he knows the Claymore kick is coming.
Attitude adjustment, tombstone, chokeslam, yeah. He named all the finishes. Knockout punch.
This is more than a prediction, more than a spoiler. Absolute guarantee. Next year, on the Go Home segment of the Go Home Raw before WrestleMania, Brock is going to be standing here with this belt over his shoulder. And I'll be talking about how Drew had a great story to tell, but he walked into WrestleMania like everybody else and walked out Brock's bitch.
By the way, did you see the BT thing with Drew McIntyre?
I have not yet, but I heard it was awesome.
Oh, I loved it. I you know, now that Raw's over, now I can be pissed about it. It's like it should have aired on Raw. It was such a cool promotional thing, and you know, I couldn't tell you why it didn't. I'm sure there's a reason, and probably, you know, one of the whatever. But it didn't air. I thought, how can you not air this piece? It's just a really cool promotional piece, and especially on a like, again, if it was like even you know what, even if it was an old show, I mean the old style show, I'd still put the piece in because it's so good. But on a show like we had tonight, I mean, you know, where you're just trying to fill time, it's like, I don't know why, you know, especially the week before WrestleMania, that it should have been on the show.